Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 357, and we have a special guest tonight. We also have Sean Wilkinson.
I'm here.
And Nate Hale. Welcome, gentlemen, to the garage.
I've been holding this pose for the last 3 minutes.
It's been awkward for everyone.
Like Stetson commercial.
Been awkward. Thank you guys for joining us. It is Wednesday in the Midwest. It's back to
50s, wet.
I don't know. We had a crazy storm just about 20 minutes ago. But I want to thank our sponsors, Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio, for the sponsorship here. They do carry the featured cigar tonight. So check them out if you don't have a local brick and mortar, and support them. We appreciate that. Also, Altadis USA. We've got a second cigar tonight from Altadis USA. It is the Romeo Julieta, the Reserva Real Nicaragua Midnight Twist. This is that one that they added a second wrapper leaf to. The Reserva Real Nicaragua, made by AJ Fernandez. So check that out as well as all of their great brands, such as Monte Cristo, Romeo y Julieta, H. Upman, Aging Room, among others. Also, BS Cigar Company, we appreciate them. The gold and silver are available. The gold is made by Plasencia. The silver is made by Espinosa Cigars. So obviously check them out as well. Also want to, before we bring our special guest, thank you for your patience backstage. Thank you guys out there. Patreon.com/BourbonBS podcast. Also Venmo at BourbonBS if you guys want to kick a contribution to the show. We appreciate that. It helps us keep this thing going. As always, we appreciate all of our Patreon members, of course. And then if you want some swag, buyjack.com/BourbonBS for any of these shirts that we have on, minus Sean's, because that was limited edition color. But that is the podcast shirt. There's Nate right there. I've got one of the BS Cigar Company Raglans. I don't know. I call them softball shirts, but yeah. So that is available. 3/4 sleeves.
They're really called Raglans?
I think so.
That's a name. Okay.
It's a thing. So check them out as well. And without further ado, we have a returning guest, Tripp from Barrell Bourbon, Barrell Craft Spirits. I love your title on the website still to this day, which is Chief, what is it? Do you know?
Chief Whiskey Scientist.
There
Chief
it is.
Of Distillery Operations.
Love it.
Yeah. So thanks for having me back, guys. You know, really excited
Absolutely.
to be here and talk some bourbon tonight. So
Absolutely.
You guys look like you're all set up there.
We are. You guys are extremely generous, and we appreciate that. We are actually just finishing on a pre-show cocktail drink. It is the batch 37 we're on.
Yep, that's the current one.
That's
They're actually,
the current one.
he said they're actually working on 38 right now.
Okay.
So 37 is the current offering out there.
And it didn't hit too long ago, right? Because I still have seen the 36. I know you'll still see it out there, but when did this 37 launch before we talk about the feature?
It was several months ago. So,
Okay.
you know, when we first started doing the batches, you know, it was, you know, the flagship for those who may not be familiar with Barrell Craft Spirits. We've been around about 14 years now, 13, 14 years. With our focus has been on blending, not distilling, just focusing on whiskey that is available in the market, seeking out those barrels, putting together unique whiskey combinations using different types of blending and finishing techniques that we've developed over the years. And so the batches were really the flagship of the brand back when we started. And the batches are, they're usually different ages. They're focused on being a cask strength product. They're different every time, intentionally, limited release. And an interesting way that we approach these types of blends and others that we release on a regular basis is that when we actually go through the process of creating the individual batch, we actually do it in a way that allows us to focus on the different characteristics of the current batch versus the previous batches, so that we know it's intentionally different release than the ones that have been released before. And so 37 is available now. It's been on the shelves for a few months now, and 38 will be out here in the next couple of months. So we're doing about 3-ish a year, maybe 3 to 4 a year, kind of depending on how the pull through works.
And remind us, when you say three or so a year, how many bottles are you like basically yielding with this process, like for the batches?
It really depends, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of, let's see. Well, let me do some math here. We're looking at somewhere around.
You have to figure out how many cases.
That's right. So my brain works in cases, and then you've got like 9 liter and then 4.5 liter, and then you got to get down to bottles. So we're looking at probably somewhere around 15,000 bottles ish,
Okay.
18,000 bottles, something like that.
It's a healthy number. It's a healthy number. That's awesome. That's awesome. This is good. I like this.
Mhm.
And you're still doing the 4 core ones, correct? Or are you up to 5? Seagrass, Dovetail.
Yes, we're still doing it's the core 4. So the batch being one of those, Seagrass, Dovetail, and then Vantage is the other. So typically, you'll see those 4 on the shelf together.
Yeah.
And you'll see some single barrels, and then we've got some different offerings and different price points, black label, red label, and we've got the grays and the golds, and on and on and on.
And you still, on and on and on. You still have is it the foundation?
Yeah, we do. We have the
like
foundation.
the core, like everyday offering, if I'm not mistaken. That was the whole point of that, right?
That's right. So that was the first product that we ever actually used water as a blending component. And I say it that way because that's sort of our vision with the inclusion of water. It was not to take a blend and just cut it to a proof. It was using the water as a blending component to reveal flavor characteristics that weren't necessarily perceptible to a consumer at the different proofs. So it's a little bit different to view it that way. But when you start looking at water as a blending component, it really changes the way you view whiskey as a whole.
Yeah.
And then we followed up that foundation with a double barrel foundation, where we
okay.
you should try that one. I think you'll be pretty impressed with that one.
For sure.
We actually had some toasted American oak barrels, custom raised for us, custom toast level time, and used the same whiskeys that we use in foundation, finished in these types of barrels, different whiskeys, different finishing times, so on and so forth, to create what became the double barrel iteration of foundation.
You guys are just doing everything, aren't you?
Man, it's nuts. I'm telling you.
Jeez.
And it's and so much of this stuff that we're allowed to do, graced to be able to do, were projects that were started many years ago, and they mature over time. That it's like a fine wine. We've got this great spice cabinet full of all this stuff, and we get to pull from it as we need.
Yeah, I remember you called it like you're going in the laboratory, I believe.
Yeah.
Last time we spoke. All right, so Cigar Blend. This is the first time, correct? Doing a cigar blend?
That's correct.
All right. All right. And before we get into it, we've been having, like, obviously this is a very popular term offering from a lot of different distilleries. And we talked about it recently with one of the local distilleries, actually, with
High Bank,
right? So they released one. I don't know if you're familiar with High Bank Distillery here in Columbus, Ohio, or it's Whiskey War is their main core product, but they had one, and it's just one of those things. Again, being more in the cigar industry, it's interesting to see on there that this was something that the one that put it on the map for me was it Joseph Magnus, right? That was the one I feel like everyone that they were like, oh man, the cigar cask or whatever they call theirs. But why did you guys get into this product line as far as an offering, this term of cigar blend, before we talk about the actual product, if that's all right?
Yeah, man, I'll tell you, it's a great question because we're typically on the front end of innovation and new releases and being the first to offer something. And with Cigar Blend, we waited for a while, and our take on what a cigar blend is. When you hear cigar blend, you think a blend of whiskey that you have to drink a cigar with. At least that's my take on this. And so what we wanted to do is, again, just view the components a little bit differently and create a cigar blend that was a standalone product, but that the cigar actually becomes another component to the blend. So I would venture to guess that all three of you are smoking cigars. They're probably not all the same because you probably have individual flavor characteristics that you like with your cigar. And so what that does is that gives you the ability to really make the experience with Cigar Blend your own. Or if you don't drink or if you don't smoke cigars at all, this is a solid standalone bourbon that you don't need to smoke a cigar with to enjoy.
Oh.
Yeah, right there.
Wait, you sold that perfect because I was like, oh, wow, like it was part of a commercial or something. I was like, right on cue.
All right, so Nate, did you have a question on that?
No, we can get into it later. Go ahead.
No, let's talk about this offer. And obviously, you guys are well known for blending different bourbons, right, or different ingredients, if you will, to that in the laboratory. And the biggest thing is obviously some of the, I think, most surprising when we first met and we first started talking about Barrell Bourbon from you guys was the age that you guys really kind of diversify with as far as what's going into each batch, each bottle, and then with some of these limited releases, especially. I mean, this one, it is, I think, 7.5 year up to, is it 18?
Yep, 7.5 to 18-year-old.
Yes. I mean, it's just, it blows my mind, obviously, every time I see it. And you guys are very, I think,
and from 3 different states.
I'm not sure. Is that, yeah, I think and you're also very
Kentucky,
open
Indiana,
about
Tennessee.
typically
right.
where they're from. And then not on this one. I know on the batches that you guys do, like batch 37, you even have your mash bill on there. So you guys are very open as far as transparent to the public, which is great. So let's talk about this particular offering from you guys being so different than what you've done before.
So again, with the idea that this is a product called Cigar Blend, can be enjoyed without a cigar, but can also, you smoke the type of cigar that you like, and you kind of get to play a part in the whole blending experience part for yourself. But this is, like we said, 7.5 to 18-year-old product from 3 different states: Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. Proof comes in at 111.2. And this is actually the first time, I believe, that we've ever put 4 finishes on the label. And so these whiskeys were finished in Madeira, Armagnac, rum, and Hungarian oak casks. And so you get the fruit characteristics from the Madeira and the Armagnac. The rum plays very well with flavor, but also the viscosity helps hold the flavors on your tongue so that they don't wash away too quickly. And then that Hungarian oak, for me, is it has a very earthy note and almost a drying characteristic. And so it's a very nice, clean finish, and it goes quite well with a cigar.
I noticed with this one, excuse me, that you're right, man. I had to wait a good almost 5 minutes for that flavor to kind of disappear on my palate after I took a sip, so I could try this without having an interference with the previous one. But my God, that thing sat forever, man.
Well, one of the things that I had mentioned to Tripp before we went live is I noticed on the label, because Cigar Blend over the last several years has become somewhat of a popular thing for some companies to put out. A lot of the ones that are doing that I see done in Ambaruana barrel finishes. That's the high bank one that we featured last month. That's what that was. And that has a very distinct flavor profile. But this one with the Madeira and Armagnac, that goes back more towards an old school original type of cigar blend that companies used to do before they were doing Ambaruana. They were doing Madeira and Armagnac.
Yeah.
So, and what I like about that is those barrels aren't necessarily overpowering the flavor profile of the whiskey. Sometimes those Ambaruanas, I've said it on here before, especially last month when we had High Bank on, whenever I get an Ambaruana, I taste apple pie. In some form or another, I taste apple pie. So this being a cigar blend, it's like, oh, wait, this does not taste like apple pie because they're not using that barrel.
Right.
And as someone who's had Madeira and Armagnac, if you know those profiles, you can pick it out on the nose because you get this kind of wine and raisin profile on the nose of this product. And I also like how it's rum finish, but it doesn't, like some products that are rum barrel finish, this doesn't taste like pancake syrup.
No, it doesn't.
They're in balance.
It's got a nice lingering spice to it as well, which I think is something that I find characteristic of a lot of cigar blends.
But it's not like a Kentucky hug spice. Do you?
No, it's on the palate completely.
Yeah, it's so smooth. My God.
Warm spice according to the bottle here.
Mm-hmm.
As he's taking a sip.
Mhm.
I know. So, and I forget the barrels. I bought 2 bottles because I liked the first one so much. The Tale of the Two.
Tale of Two Islands.
Yeah.
Yep.
What were those barrels?
So are you talking about the actual rum from
Martin,
like
was that for Martin?
2017, 18?
Well, no, I'm talking about your product.
The bourbon finished?
Yes.
Okay. So Tale of Two Islands was originally a rum product.
Oh.
And we had, so if you go back far enough, Barrel Craft Spirits has actually done rum releases. And so we had a batch 1 rum that was a high ester pot still rum that we released in like 16 or 17.
Wow.
And we had some of that left over. And we ended up taking, at the time it was 8 years old, and put that into Isla Scotch casks.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
And so we had all this stuff lined up. Joe and I were sitting in the lab, and I just took everything that I could think of that I didn't think would go together and put it together. And we set it all up on the bench, and we just went through and tasted everything. And like, this one's terrible. This one's terrible. Can't do anything with this. This is bad. Nobody should ever do this one. And then the very last one was this rum in Isla Scotch. It's like, there's no way that this is going to work well together. And it was amazing. It really was. And so the original Tale of Two Islands was an 8-year-old high ester Jamaican rum that had been finished in Isla Scotch casks. And so we had a very small release of that. And the people who followed us and loved rum absolutely loved that product. And I wish we could do it again.
I wish I could have got it.
Yeah, we haven't been able to come up with the pieces to put that one back together. But then recently, so anytime we use stuff like that, typically the barrels get filled with something else. And so after we dumped those barrels in 2017 or whenever it was, I just filled them back up with bourbon. And so I put several different bourbons in all these barrels that we used, and they just kind of hung around for a few years. And in 26 back to 20, it was probably 23. What we released as part of our cask finish series is a bourbon that was finished in Tale of Two Islands casks.
Got it.
Now, if you didn't know the backstory, you saw that on the shelf, and you're like, well, what in the world is this thing? If you understand the backstory, then you know that it was the rum in the Isla Scotch cask, and then the bourbon back in those same barrels. That blend was created from those original barrels, and that bourbon was in those barrels for 5 years, something like that. So
Yeah.
it was an amazing project, but communicating all of that information to a consumer who's like, this is on the shelf, I don't know what this is. How do we get that message across? That's kind of where the disconnect was with that product. But if you got your hands on it, man, it's an amazing product.
Well, I think in Ohio it was hanging on the shelves.
It was
probably what you were talking about, because I think that there wasn't a whole lot of info or coverage on that one.
No, the good thing about it was the back label did give a good amount of information about what the product was. So I know our store had some of those, and there was another product that was right next to it from Barrell. And so people would come in and ask, and that was a bottle I would recommend as gifts. And I would explain to people about that story. It's like, oh, this is what it is. This is why it's called what it was. It was a great product. I think, to each their own. There were some people that liked it, some people that didn't, because you're going to have that with every product.
Oh, sure.
But it was something, I think, if you had someone to communicate that, if you had an agency that the staff really knows their products, can sit there and convey that information to a customer, get the customer excited about it, and pick up that bottle. And then you have people like, oh my gosh, this is great. Is there any more? It's like, nope, there's not.
Waited too long for your first one.
Was it a limited release?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One?
I've got some inside.
Okay.
I think at this point, you guys, and we'll talk more about this product with this being in mind. I think there's a lot of trust, I think, from repeat consumers for you guys. I mean, that was kind of me when I saw it on the shelf. I was like, this sounds interesting, you know, and I, you know, obviously met you online here, and it's something that I'm like, this sounds like something I could get behind. So I tried it and liked it so much that like I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get a backup bottle of this, you know what I mean, because I enjoyed it, and you can't find in Ohio, unfortunately, you can't find all your products, but it's starting to come a little bit more common, I think. But I think there's a brand recognition. I think there's a trust there now that you guys have really made over, I don't know, probably the last 4 years, really, because I think at least in Ohio, because the 4 core ones are on the shelf usually at a lot of places, and I think there's a lot more brand recognition than there was probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, and Steve, it's a great point, and I'm really glad you brought that up, because that's part of what we strive for. We do so much innovation, and we're doing so many things kind of on the tip of blending and the tip of finishing, and oftentimes there's stuff on the bottle that people might not completely recognize, or maybe they've never had something with some of the like the different types of ice wines that we use, or you know, fill in the blank type of barrel finishing or blend. But if they're familiar with us and they have other products that we like and they love the other products that we've produced, the goal has always been to build that rapport with the customer so that there is that faith in what's in the bottle, so that when you see it on the shelf, that you have a belief that what we've put in that bottle deserves to be there. Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to love them all. You're always going to like some over others, and there are maybe some that you don't like at all, and that's expected. But we want, you know, part of what we do is everything that we can to make sure that the customer understands that, you know, we go to extreme lengths to make sure that what goes in that bottle that ends up on the shelf is worth being there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there's anything like, oh, we got to get rid of this stuff. You know what I mean? let's throw it in the blend here. Yeah, no, I hope you don't get to that point. All right, let's focus again on the cigar blend. So is there a process behind this? I mean, you to Nate's point, you kind of went with a kind of a different approach, I think, than a lot of the cigar blends, cigar casks, whatever everyone's calling it. But I mean, what was the process here? What was the journey that you guys set out for? Was it something where you said, we want to do something that we can put cigar on?
Yeah, I think when you really look at cigar characteristics and bourbon characteristics, just kind of top lining those, you get a lot of similar notes in both of those things. You're right. I mean, you get nuttiness in both of those things. I mean, you get earth notes in both of those things. Obviously, you get tobacco in both of those things. And so it was, how can we create something that is complementary to the flavor characteristics that we're going to find in a cigar? So maybe it's a tobacco note in bourbon, but it's not the same tobacco note. It's an iteration of what is perceived as tobacco characteristics. So you're not trying to overshadow that characteristic. You're just adding some dimension to that characteristic. Okay. And so is there a way that we can do that through blends of bourbons and also the use of finishing casks, so that we have these mirrored flavor characteristics between the cigar and the bourbon that just add a layer of depth that we couldn't necessarily do without the cigar? But in that same regard, when you drink it without the cigar, you still get all of these crazy flavors that work so well together.
I think you do. For you guys, like you said earlier in the show, it was like normally you guys are kind of more on the pioneer side of it. Was it that this was missing in your portfolio? Was it something that you were following a trend, or was it like you're a fan of these different casks that you're finishing in? The barrels. Like I guess what was the turning point? Like, this is going to be in our portfolio.
It really was so many people kept asking us when we were going to do one.
God.
I mean that really is the answer. It was something that we've talked about doing. It's like, okay, we could probably do something with this, but the engagement from the people who support the brand was pretty incredible about why we haven't offered a cigar blend yet. And there was a lot of question around what our iteration of a cigar blend would look like. And so that's really what spurred the innovation.
I like the fact you're listening to consumers, your fans, obviously. I mean, I think they're following a little bit of a trend there, you know, as far as a lot of different distilleries coming out with that. Sean, what do you think of this? Or do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
But, I don't. Well, he knows I think of it because as soon as he got done explaining, I went, "Wow."
Yeah.
So
It's a good one.
yeah, that's dangerous, dude. That's very dangerous to me. It could go down. It goes down too easy. The question I had is like I've seen like you blend all these, and I'm like 4 or 5 years into this, but these guys are like, wizards of cigars and bourbon and know all the cool shit about it. But I don't.
Wizards.
And I'm still.
That's where we're going.
Yeah,
You're a wizard here.
Weird beard and like him, and then put like a little hat on you. Wizard. Oh, you too. Well, you're a scientist, so.
He's a scientist.
He actually.
So
Yeah.
my question is, when you get these blends, like for the first one, name I'm sorry,
Batch 37.
yeah, 37. How do you pull up all? I mean, I'm sure this is a very common answer for you guys, but like who do you go to? How do you get those different blends? Is there places that offer that, and you just walk in and kind of here's all these batches, have fun, or is it more of you got to know somebody, or is it something like that when you can blend the certain types of bourbon that you have?
So good question. There's definitely not normally I would say a research manual or a how-to book, but nowadays it's an AI engine, right? And that's like you ask GPT, how do I do this? It's unfortunately it's not that simple. I think in the early days of this, the vision for creating blends was to just begin exploring flavor. And so with my background, being in the distilling industry, but all the way back to, yeast and, the different yeast strains and the yeast strains role in this overall process and where flavor actually comes from throughout this whole process up until you dump the barrel. And then the question I always had was, well, if this is all we do, then we're limited by everything that happens upstream, short of just taking these things and putting them together. And so that was the first step. We take these different whiskeys, bourbons, or other spirits that were created by some other distillery that used a specific yeast strain, mash bill, cuts off the still, different type of barrel, aging, all those variables to create a whiskey. And then we can take all of those whiskeys that we source from these different areas, and we can introduce those whiskeys together in a way that allowed those flavor profiles to actually work well together instead of having one overshadow the other. And that was just the first step. And that's really that's how we started doing the batches. And then from there, it was, where else can we go to get flavor? Is it seeking out different yeast strains? Is it seeking out different types of cooperage? Is it using different finishing casks in the blends? And then going down the path of exploring how different whiskeys interact with all of these different variables. And so the flavor matrix that can be created when you walk through this, it's almost infinite. Sure. And then what you have is that spice cabinet that everybody hears me talk about that we can now just go to, and we can literally, it needs a dab of this and a little bit of that and a pinch of this. And we can create these complex blends because we've gotten to a point where we have all of these flavors and we can put them together in a way that you get to experience them all. They don't overshadow each other. There is room in the whole flavor spectrum for all of these things to shine. And that's really the secret to this thing.
I picture like, I need to go on Chat GPT and make you you shouldn't just be a scientist, you should be mad scientist. And have like the whole mad scientist with barrels all around you. I think I'm gonna try to find that for you.
It's funny. I have some old barrels that I put together probably 15 or 16 years ago, from 2-gallon barrels all the way up through a 53-gallon barrel, and they're called the Mad Scientist Mystery Barrel Series.
Oh, dude.
And
yeah.
so
Man.
it's wild. When I was playing with different yeast strains and mash bills, and it was, oh, this one was pretty good, and just dumped the new make into these barrels. And so I've got years worth of those things.
Awesome.
That not really enough of it to do anything with, but it's just really cool to see how that stuff has evolved over time.
Yeah.
You didn't have that spice cabinet, I don't think, that you referred to now when we spoke the first time.
We were actively working on getting there.
Yeah, like you were still like just experimenting constantly, I remember. So it's interesting to see how that's evolved to the point where it's like, all right, we need to add this to this, and you guys were able to do that. Like you're able to produce those types of options for you with like literally like you call it a spice cabinet. I'm literally like, hey, what does this need? And you're like, let's, and it's labeled. You know, like it's awesome. Yeah. Like you truly are just putting together a recipe.
Do you when you put that all together, and maybe it's already set in the bottle, but like because they're already aged, are you able to create that blend and pretty much get it going pretty quickly, or do you still put it together and let it sit for a bit? For a certain
good question. It's sometimes it can be either or, and so when we talk about this, when we talk about putting these things together, there is. I talk about a certain type of comfort in the chaos. And so we have a pretty good idea where we're going directionally, because we've used many of these whiskeys in the past. And, you know, whether it's been finished or whether it's just straight out of its primary cask, most of the stuff that we operate with, we've used or at least sampled in some version previously.
Sure. Okay.
But as we begin moving toward creating the blend in the lab and then working to scale that up in processing, we don't know exactly where it's going to land because there's so many variables.
Sure.
Right? Because we all know that two whiskeys made on the same day, put in the same barrel side by side in the same rickhouse, are more than likely going to taste a little bit different when you pull them out of that rickhouse. So when you take that variability on that level and you apply it to every single barrel that you're using with your added variability in finishing, blending, etc., then you know that when you put these things together, there's going to be variability from a Glencairn glass to a 6,000 gallon blending tank. And so we operate with this knowing that we're moving in this direction. The whiskey, we're working with the whiskey's telling us things, and we're constantly filling in gaps, all the while not exactly knowing where we're going to land, but being comfortable enough with our process to know that when we get there, we're going to know it and it's going to be great.
Okay. So last question, I'll quit bugging you.
You're interviewing.
Yeah.
You're not bugging it.
That's why we're here.
Yeah. So have you taken blends from like previous bottles that you've created and put them into one of your other batches with other things in hand? Okay. He ruined it. He answered it for me already.
You weren't part of the show when he.
Sorry.
So we'll do. So let me, just to qualify real quick, are you talking about using comparing blends that we're working on to previous blends? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, taking like from like batch one, for example, and instilling it with new different kinds of flavors or whiskeys or bourbons that you just recently got your hands on, and then make like a batch.
Do you have like, if I'm translating,
Sure.
like batch 37, like you didn't bottle all of it, you have some of it left, and then you utilize that in other recipes
and go back,
or do you start from scratch every time?
Could be. So we have what we call component blends, where, you know, with all of these projects, again, you know, like I say, we don't necessarily know the outcome of all these projects, but we're comfortable with the process. And so part of that process is putting these whiskeys together and letting them be what they are, also knowing that they may not work for the current project.
Sure.
And so we'll put these different micro blends or component blends or however we want to talk about them together as part of, say, a batch 37, but maybe we don't use it all in batch 37. Maybe that micro blend has created a flavor profile that we could use in one of these other projects that we know is coming up. And so we'll set it aside and we'll earmark it for, you know, X project and use it that way. Again, when it's flavor focused, you can operate differently than if you're just looking at a balance sheet, an Excel spreadsheet, and just trying to run the company.
Right.
All of those things have to happen, and they have to happen well. But if you can look at the different barrels and say, these flavors work well together, and maybe I don't need to use it all here. I can spread some this way, put some over here, and fill in different gaps in flavor profiles that you're going to have. You're going to end up with a more complex and better product every single time.
Dude, you inspired me to go.
Well, because the reason I answered Sean's question briefly under my breath was I remember it may have been the first or second time we had you on. You guys were working on, or we were featuring the latest batch, and this was back in the, I want to say, low to mid 20s batch, and you guys were blending that, and you kept putting barrels together, and you're like, there's something missing. And what was missing was this flavor profile from a previous batch, and you had some of that left over, and you're like, that's what it needs. It needs some of this batch back into this one, and that made that new batch the profile you were looking for.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
So,
yeah,
do you have we come and visit your facility, or is it more of a?
We don't really do tours, but if you guys are in town, give me a shout. I mean, you guys should
come watch your process. That
good to know someone, right?
Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, we go to the Rick House too. I mean, we don't do tours down there, but our Rick House is the original Yellowstone Rick House, the last of 6 remaining from just following Prohibition, and it's a pretty amazing Rick House. Yeah, I mean, if you like whiskey history, I mean, it's pretty cool.
I would love to try that.
One question here on the cigar before we move on. The Cigar Blend. Maybe I missed this, but with you, it's finished in all these different casks, and you guys acquire a lot of different barrels, right? I mean, that's the whole thing of this. Is that so? Are you acquiring finished products, or are you the one doing all the finishing on this product?
We do all the finishing, so we'll acquire the barrels.
Got it.
I'm not opposed to trying and potentially purchasing other whiskeys that have been finished. We just do it based on flavor. If we taste it and we like it and think it can fill a hole, then we'll use it. If we don't like it, then we won't purchase it. But typically,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, typically I like to understand where the actual barrels themselves came from and what was in them previously. And then the whiskeys that went together that go into those barrels. It just gives us a little better control and a little better understanding of where we're going to go with this thing.
I guess real quick, the reason I ask that is because a lot of times I feel like you're when you purchase or you source the barrels, you obviously kind of know a lot of what you're getting, flavor profile. When you get into the finishing side of things, it's a time issue, right? So like, you can finish something, less than a month. You can finish something for months. You can finish something for years. Or like typically it's going to be, I think, less than a year on a lot of these products. So it's like, are you constantly checking that finishing, I guess not age, but like, the timing of those things? Because when you're combining all of the different components that you're doing in a typical product for you guys, now you're adding in the finishing side of things, and you've got, do you disclose how many different ingredients that you have in the Cigar Blend? Like how many different products are in there? Is it just the 4 major ones, or are you adding more to that?
So we don't disclose all of it. I mean, we will tell you, I don't have every age of whiskey on the Cigar Blend. Where it's something like if you look on Foundation, we were talking about Foundation earlier. If you look at the Foundation products, you're going to have all 3 states, all of the individual ages from each state, and then the derived mash bill, which is figured out from the mash bill of each of those whiskeys, and so on and so forth. So we didn't necessarily do that on Cigar Blend, but we did give you it's the range, the states.
It just
seems
seems
like a finishing cask.
You're exponentially making this more of a difficult process when you're doing aging yourself, right?
That's
so
right.
You've acquired all of it, and now you're like, all right, so we're gonna age. Are you aging things in different casks, or doing finishing on different products outside of this, and you're using those now as not necessarily part of your spice cabinet, but you're like basically like, we know we have this, we like the way this this flavor is coming out of this. You know, we aged it in the Hungarian cask for 2 months or for 2 weeks or whatever it might be, or is it just happening all at once and you just came together with this?
The short answer is yes, but to get a little more granular, many of these finishing casks we have and have had for many years.
Okay.
And different whiskeys from different distilleries at different ages will interact differently with each of these casks. And so there's a learning curve with the whiskeys that you're using, with the specific cask that you're using, and how that's going to be integrated into a blend.
We need like a whiteboard, like
we do. Yeah, seriously.
But that's where I was going with it. Like, oh my God.
The follow-up that I was thinking, because we've had different distilleries on that have talked about doing it different ways. Are you blending all the whiskeys together and then finishing that in 4 casks, or are different whiskeys being finished in those variant casks and then that all blended together?
We've done it both ways, and sometimes we'll do it both ways.
I mean, for the cigar blend, cigar blend.
The cigar blend, most of the whiskeys are finished separately.
Okay.
And then that's all blended together.
And then that's blended together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like everything in this bottle has been finished in all 4 casks.
That's correct.
That's where I was going.
That's correct.
Like on a daily basis, there's a comment made probably by you or someone on your team, be like, wouldn't it be cool ... Yeah. And then you guys are like, you know what? That would be cool.
I'm going to finish that.
I have an idea.
Wouldn't it be cool if the consumers like us 3 were to come down and try some different flavors and then make it a bourbon BS bottle? I don't know. I just said it loud.
You weasel.
I just forgot.
Good God. All right. I know we don't have you for much longer, so I do want we've talked about the Batch 37. We talked about the Cigar Blend, which is the featured one that we're talking about. And this bottle, I believe, is MSRP $89.99.
Correct.
Yeah. So this is something, I don't know if Ohio is going to get it, but obviously for any of the listeners in other states, you said, you know, you didn't say on this particular one, but do you know how many bottles were released of this batch?
I don't recall the total number on these, but we did a decent size release, and it sold out immediately. Wow. And so we're going to follow up and put some more in the market. So we've moved some things around, and we're going to it's been so well received that we're going to make sure that the people who want it can get access to it. So we're going to do it again.
Like batch 1 of this, or is this we're going to see a Cigar Blend and you're going to try to duplicate this the best you can?
It'll be the same product.
Okay, there you go. Okay. The other one that you were so kind to send us, let's see if I can get this up on the screen here because I didn't have it loaded up prior to it, but is a 12-year product. And I believe this is it. No, it didn't let me do it. Of course it didn't. Why would it? This is going to be a 12-year product. This is also new.
Yeah. So this has been out for a few months now. It's a 12-year age stated product, but has bourbon in it up to 15 years old. The states are the typical Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee states for us, coming in at 113.4 proof. And the whiskeys were finished in the toasted American oak casks that I mentioned earlier. These were casks that we had custom raised for us with varying dry times and specific toasting profiles based on the different whiskeys we were going to use for this project.
Wow. We're going to crack that one next.
Color me impressed.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to crack that. Go ahead and crack that. This one's coming in a little bit. Is it the age statement? Because this does have a higher price point than the Cigar Blend. Obviously not your highest. Is the gray Seagrass, is that the highest price point that you have right now?
That one's $200 in Ohio.
Yeah, the gray is the highest that we offer right now. I think it's $199 on the shelf right now.
Okay. Yeah.
This particular product, the 12-year finished in toasted American oak, is a $159 $159.99 price point, and it's got that red label on it. So we're grouping different products in there. Most of these categories end up sort of creating themselves based on, cost to acquire these bourbons and the associated cost to create the product, which is why this one's a little bit more.
Okay.
And then there's actually a black label series, which is the step up from the red label series, which is like our triple rum cask finish or the decade blend, which is, it's got up to 33-year-old whiskey in it. And so those are $199 each.
Okay. Tell us if while we have you, I know it's getting to that point here, but tell us a little bit more about that. I mean, I know you said that it's 12-year-old, but I mean, what else do people want to know about this being, again, kind of, not overly expensive, but it's going to be towards the top of your portfolio as far as price point?
It is. And I think what fascinates me about this is, again, we talked about it a little bit earlier, is that we have a lot of these same casks that we use with different spirits, different aged spirits. And it's a real experiment for us to look at what an 8-year-old from Indiana might do in a specific cask and what a 12-year-old from Indiana might do in a specific cask, or a 12-year-old from Kentucky might do in a specific cask. So all of these experiments are going on behind the scene as we develop these profiles, and we really begin to understand how these older products work with these different casks that we've created. And so this whiskey specifically, with 12 to 15-year-old whiskeys, a lot of people might look at the presentation and the information on this bottle and say, wow, 12 to 15-year-old whiskey in a secondary cask for, some number of months and years is going to be too oaky. But what's really great about this product is that it's not oaky. It's not overly oaked. You still get all of the flavor components from the individual whiskeys and the blend that was put together. And the finishing cask, again, just adds a layer of depth. There's additional fruit. There's additional vanillin. There's additional barrel characteristics that will further complement the original flavor profile from the primary cask, and creating that in such a way that the secondary maturation doesn't overshadow that profile is where this product really shines.
And that's interesting because I've had, friends that, I know a guy that, had this like 22-year-old barrel that found its way outside of a distillery or whatever. And they're like, you should try this. And I yeah, let's try it. Like, absolutely. And to your point,
tastes like toothpicks.
It tastes like, like a gym floor, you know what I mean? Or bowling alley. It's if you like that oakiness, obviously, and it's just pure oak. I mean, it's just all wood. And you're like, so it's good. Like, it's a nice small sipper, maybe a nightcap, but it's, obviously you don't want to have multiple glasses of something you can't really get, or it has that much age on it. But it's like, I don't know if I'm really wanting to go back to this bottle. It's cool to have on your shelf and it's cool to share in the story. But yeah, to your point, it's like, you don't want to just go all oak. You don't want to go all, hardwood, like to your, toothpicks, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, there are some distilleries that,
I guess, like, I'm not like satisfied sipping on it. Now I'm just going just for a full out, like, let's see what my palate can handle as far as flavors. It's not like, man, that's really good. Like, that really hits the spot. There's nothing there for that for me.
Well, I think there's a lot of consumers that go after higher age statements, for whatever reason. You do have those people out there that, they want to get something that's, super old, and because they think that's going to have the most flavor and stuff like that. And then they taste and it's like, this just tastes like I'm gnawing on a 2x4. And it's like, yeah, you kind of missed the point. Like, yes, it was aged longer, but there should be more complexity to it. It shouldn't just taste like oak in a glass. I think some companies do it intentionally because people are going to buy something older stated. And I think some companies miss the mark because they just put out a product that's too oaked.
And I think that's where you step in and just take it to another level. I think it's pretty awesome.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And the whole reason that we focus on the methods that we focus on to create these products is because it is centered on flavor. It is all about what goes in that bottle. I mean, we can go buy some older bourbon and just put that in the bottle and sell it because it is old bourbon. But at the end of the day, if you're a consumer and you're spending a good amount of money on a bottle that's 15 years old, then you're after an experience as much as you are an older product. And I think what we've seen over the last 10 years is that consumers are getting they're more and more inquisitive about where these whiskeys are coming from, how they're being created, where does flavor come from, am I actually getting a flavorful product in this bottle? And that's massively important, because that's also going to begin shifting the industry as a whole toward more of that flavorful experience that you're getting in the bottle and less about a number on a label.
Yeah, I think we went through that, right? I mean, you went through, like, obviously all your stuff, most of the stuff, I think all your stuff other than the foundation is cask strength, if you will.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, like, that was at one point, that was the whole thing. And I think, Nate, at one point you were kind of like that proof whore that we talk about, you know what I mean? On the show.
I was not.
A little bit. There was a time.
I was not.
It's all part of the growing process.
I've been called that on multiple occasions.
No, why? My point is I feel like you see that, and we see it in the cigar industry as well. It's like, people go just stronger. And then as you're into it for a while, then you're doing the whole thing. Like, you're going for the age statement on this stuff, where you talk about, just like there's a lot of rarity to something or whatever. Like, you go through all that stuff, but when it comes down to it in the end, you find yourself, to your point, Tripp, you go for flavor. Like, I want to, like, okay, I've gone through the hunting of bottles, I've gone through the collecting of bottles, I've gone through all of this stuff and trying, like, not necessarily trying to impress other people, but I'm just like really enthusiastic about this. And it's like, now you have all these bottles sitting in your place and all this money sitting there, which is fine if you can do it. But, I've gotten to the point where it's like, I don't want to spend a ton of money on a daily, sipper or something like that. You know what I mean? I enjoy a drink or so, after work or something like that. And it's like, I don't want to drink the rare stuff. And I also don't want to seek this out. I also don't want to go broke. I just want to have good flavor. I want to enjoy the experience. And it's interesting, not trying to, blow smoke up your skirt, but it's like, it seems as though a lot of the passion for you guys doing different things with the batches, doing different things with, like, even your iteration of a cigar blend, you're going, and I remember this from our previous conversation as we've been speaking, is that it's all about the flavor. It's all about, like, what you are tasting.
Yep.
You're not necessarily trying to impress people with an age statement, which with the blending, when you throw it on there, and it's like, I remember the first New Year's bottle I had from you guys. It was like 11 different states. Yeah. And it was like, I forget the age range. And I'm just like, so this was just your big finish for the end of the year, like, in so many ways. Yeah. Like, we put everything in here.
Forget the spice cabinet. Here's the kitchen sink.
It was like an infinity bottle of things. You know what I mean? It was just crazy. But then I tasted it, and you were over that year.
Yeah.
You and I. Yeah. We were sipping on New Year's Eve, and we're just like, holy shit, this is, I think it was like COVID year or something.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we were in my garage, and it's like, we were just like, we cracked it, we sipped on it, we're like, okay, this is the way to ring in a new year.
Apart. This is amazing.
20 feet apart.
Not kidding.
It's a 2-car garage, but
yeah. This is, again, this is my first time on with you guys, and Tripp, this is like sky's the limit for you guys. I mean, you've already established a pretty good customer base, and it seems like you guys have hit it out of the park every time. So I think, the more you release things, the more people are going to be excited and probably standing in line at places and being like, screw the allocated shit. I want some of these guys, I think I see it down the road,
You guys do a lot of single offerings too, because I know the last time I was in Binny's in Chicago, there was just almost like a whole aisle, I felt like, to you guys. I mean, they have so many different stuff that are exclusive to them. So I think maybe leave with that with you, because I don't want to take up your evening. But I mean, you guys also offer those, I guess, not barrel
single barrel program.
It's not single barrel with these guys, right?
We've done single barrels. We had the private release series, which is like micro blends on a barrel by barrel level. We've even done some larger custom blends where, maybe it's 400 or 500 cases for some larger liquor stores or, retailers. We'll do some custom blends sometimes for those folks. We don't do as much as the single barrels anymore.
Yeah.
We do some. We do a fair number of them. We've got actually some foundation single barrels that
Nice.
we're offering that I think they're pretty well sold. I don't know which markets they're going to end up in, but we did do some lower proof.
Yeah.
They're in the low 100s. They're not all 100. They're low 100 proof single barrels. But it's the individual barrels are fun. A lot of them come from a lot of our experiments, but they won't go away completely.
All right. So we've talked about Cigar Blend. We've talked about Batch 37. We've talked about your 12 years of toasted oak, right? American oak barrels.
Yep.
What kind of closing remarks from you? Thank you so much for your time and sharing these products with us. But is there anything else? Not kicking you off, but I know, like I said, we had you for about an hour, and I don't want to take up your evening. But is there anything else you want to leave us and the audience? Like they'll listen either live or after the fact, or on the audio. But what do they need to know coming up from you and Barrell Bourbon?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you guys for having me on again. It's always a blast hanging out with you all. We should certainly do it again soon. Moving forward, we've got a lot of really flavorful releases coming. I get asked a lot about sort of the industry, the current state, and what we're going to do to survive. And innovation is not something that you just start doing one day and you get the results. Innovation is a way of thinking. It's a way of operating. And so we've been innovating for many, many years. And so a lot of the things that you're going to see from Barrell Craft Spirits in the coming months and years are projects that were started as long as a decade ago. So, we've been ahead of the curve. We have things in the pipeline that other brands won't be able to keep up with because you can't speed up time.
Sure.
And so
companies try, but
that's right. That's right. They're certainly trying to do it. Just keep your eyes out. We've got a lot of great stuff coming. And again, thank you all for having me again tonight, and I look forward to the next one.
I still may reach out or have Steve reach out to you to come visit you.
Come see us.
It's something to see how you guys doing.
Road trip.
Hell yeah, brother, for sure.
Yeah, come see us.
All right. Well, Tripp, thank you so much, and cheers to you, and thank you for sharing these great products. And obviously, your scientific background is proving to be very unique and successful. So thank you,
gentlemen.
Cheers,
brother.
Cheers.
Well, that was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I'm gonna go see him.
We've had him on. We've had some other people on from the company, but it's always a pleasure talking to him because he is again, like you call him mad scientist. You know what I mean? But
well, and
I think last time I didn't bring it up, but like he has like a white coat that
because
seriously.
Because I think if I remember correctly, wasn't his undergrad in chemical engineering?
Yeah. He is a scientist.
He is a scientist
for sure
by trade.
For sure.
Oh my gosh, the nose on the 12 year.
Right.
Like there's like a peach and orange on the nose.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't come across oaky on the nose. There's a fruit bomb on the nose. Like I said, orange or peach. And 113 proof, and it doesn't burn the nostrils.
No. Greg Sanson, I don't know what Nate and you're excited to see Sean on here, but
I don't know what happened there, but Greg.
Oh, it's cute that you guys are flirting on, the comment section.
We have a connection.
Clearly.
Sorry that you're not part of it.
I'm not. Good to see you, Greg. So I want to thank, again, I know he's already off, but Tripp from Barrell Bourbon. It's always fantastic. They have a great Aaron who has his own PR firm, right? So he works with Barrel Craft Spirits. He works with Still Austin. He works with a couple other distilleries, and he's really hooked us up with that. So lucky to be on that connection list, and appreciate Aaron. I know you're off today, so I'm glad you got this hooked up and everything and reached out to us. And it's always funny because when he he sends me an email or whatever. He's like, hey, this is the press release for for this one, right? So it's like, Barrell Bourbon Cigar Blend. Here's all the information on it. Let me know if you'd be interested in some samples and if you want to get Tripp or someone else on the show. And I'm like, again, always yes. And
It's
let's
kinda like-
work out some
it's kinda like
dates on this.
Yeah, it's kind of like the end of Ghostbusters. If someone asks you if you're God, you say
say
yes.
Say yes. So they really they've been very supportive of the show, and we appreciate that. This was I knew they were sending the cigar blend, but they went above and beyond on this one.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah.
sending the 37, the one we're sipping on now, the 12-year toasted oak is fantastic. So again, all the love to them. I do want to talk to you guys about what we're smoking. I wanted to use all the time we had with him. So sorry for you guys that are interested in the cigar side of it, but we always try to do that with a cigar interview or the whiskey side of things, the spirit interview, but we want to make sure that we capitalize on their time that we have them here. So
Absolutely.
we are smoking something new from El Titan de Bronze. It's called the El Titan de Bronze Nicaragua. This is interesting to me. You want me to read you guys this, or do you want to tell me what you think of the smoke first? What would be more fun?
I mean, how about Sean and I go into the cigar?
Tell me about the cigar, and then I'll tell you about said cigar. What are your thoughts? El Titan de Bronze is a factory in
we already
US.
covered this, but I'm not going to
Miami.
spoil it.
Yeah, I know. I shouldn't have told you beforehand, but Sean doesn't know.
No, Sean doesn't know.
But yeah, so it's a Miami-based boutique manufacturer, El Titan de Bronze. This is something that they are working on, and we got out the Tinder Box. This is a new release called the El Titan de Bronze Nicaragua. Sean, why don't you start?
I'm going to start with the label real quick. I like the label. I mean, it's almost like similar in color to the wrapper, but the gold really pops out on the
It's
band.
like golden burgundy.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, it's very to me like, what do you call it? Satisfying when you look at it. It's
gorgeous.
Yeah. And
The box is nice. The label's nice.
Yeah. So it's that catches my eye right off the bat. Construction wise, I had this lit for well over an hour and a half, and I haven't had to relight it once. So it's.
I put mine down just so I could focus a little bit on the whiskey while we had Tripp here at some points. But yeah, it's burning very well.
Yeah, it is. It's got a great burn. Very well constructed. I love I'm still trying to get the flavor profile on the palate, but on the retro, it's just delicious. I'm excited to see how we bring it on the pairing. I think it's very complementary to what we're drinking and smoking right now. But you're gonna drop that. Sorry, ash fell. But
you're not the first.
The overall, I'm very impressed.
Okay,
with it.
good.
Yeah.
For me, the cigar comes across, I want to say medium in strength. This is definitely not a full body or mild smoke. For me, this is kind of right down the middle or just a hair above, but not enough to be in that medium full category. This is like medium, maybe medium plus. A lot of earthy notes on the palate. The retro has a really pleasant spice. Sometimes you get cigars that have spice through the nose, and it's just like pepper, and it's just it just kind of blows your nostrils out with just bunch pepper. This one through the nose, yes, there's some spice there, but it's not an overwhelming spice. It's not necessarily soft like a white pepper, but it's enough of a profile on the nose to let you know, like, hey, there's more to this cigar than just what you taste on the palate. But the strength comes across, I would say, very medium. I would say even like the way it sits on the palate is actually medium or a little bit lighter than that. Like just the thickness of the smoke and how it sits. This is not an overwhelming flavor profile, because you can have a medium bodied cigar that's just packed with flavor. This one, I think, medium in terms of the strength of the cigar, but the body and the mouth feel is actually leaning like medium to a little bit lighter than that.
Okay.
So I think it's a very easy smoking cigar. Something any casual cigar smoker could appreciate, especially if it's, if there's someone that smokes multiple cigars a day, this would be something I would say is more towards the early part of the day. But I also think if you're someone that really likes just mild cigars, this would be a very easy step to that next level.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a step. I don't know how easy. I mean, if you're just smoking mild Dominican cigars, I think this is going to be a little bit a step.
Yeah. If you're smoking nothing but say
Fuentes,
like Ashton,
Yeah.
Fuente, like the Connecticut's, Shade Grown,
Magnetos,
Cafe
Series.
Yeah, like Magneto Gold Label. Like,
Sure.
if that's your normal go-to, this is going to be a huge jump. But if you're someone that likes, say, Monte Cristo White or Romeo and Julieta, Connecticut, Nicaragua, Espinosa Crema, like this,
Oliva, Connecticut Reserve.
Yeah, or Rocky Patel Vintage 99. Like, this would be a very pleasant step up from that, because it's not overwhelming on the palate. It's not a strong cigar. It just has a little bit more flavor than what you get out of some of those milder offerings.
Yes. All right. So I agree with both of you guys. The blend on this is interesting. And it's surprising, actually, when you look at this thing. Now, in the picture, it does look like this. In person, I would, what I've seen so far, it's surprising. This is they don't say where from, but it's a broadleaf wrapper.
Really?
Did you hear that, Nate?
Yes.
Okay, broadleaf wrapper, Mexican binder, and then Nicaraguan fillers.
Mexican binder.
Right. Broadleaf wrapper.
Wow. It does. So I know Brian, the owner of Tinder Box, he's not a huge fan of broadleaf because sometimes it comes across a little bitter for him. I think this would be a broadleaf that he might actually enjoy. And then as far as the Mexican, it just says Mexican, doesn't say Mexican San Andreas.
It doesn't say where the broadleaf's from. It doesn't say what Mexican. I mean, I assume San Andreas. I mean, I assume you're getting it from the Toronto family there.
Yeah.
Serious.
But it doesn't have that dry bite that sometimes we would get from a Mexican.
No.
Tobacco.
I agree with you. It's got a nice spice to it. I think it's medium bodied. I think it's going to be something that is a good cigar for your everyday smoker. I think it. The only thing I'll disagree with you guys on it, especially Nate, with what you were saying from that. I tried to kind of step in a little bit on my opinion on that. It's a little bit. It really sits on the middle of my tongue as far as the smoke on the flavor profile. It could be a little bit too much, too bold for that. It's not a full bodied cigar, but I just think that there's a lot there. There's I get like a spice on the tongue and the retrohale. But that's the only thing I'll say that I would maybe slightly disagree with you on that, is that it would be a logical jump for someone that's already doing like more of a Nicaraguan prominent Connecticut blend. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Okay. I mean, I don't really get much spice on the palate. That's my palate. I don't either. I get a lot of earthiness.
Okay. It's not overwhelming.
It's earthiness, but it's not quite like Cameroon earthiness. No. But it's one of those it's a weird cigar in the sense that the whole time I've been smoking it, as much as I try and concentrate on the cigars, I get the earthiness, I get the spice on the retro, but then I find myself trying to search for other flavors.
So every freaking week I'm on this show.
It's a straightforward cigar in a lot of ways. I think so. Here's the big kicker on this one. This is what Nate was talking about here when I told him prior to the show. Sean, you weren't here quite yet, but this is Altadis Bronze is known as a very boutique Miami-based manufacturer. The cigar we smoked last episode, the Cohiba Siriem. This one and previous ones were made at Altadis Bronze, if you remember that.
Oh, that's right.
So this is something that is, and they have been around for a long, long time. Very coveted to get your cigars made by them. This is a shift in what Altadis Bronze is doing. This is going to be a new, and they even say it in the press release, is so the founder, Sandra Cobas, and the president, Giselle Herrera of the Herrera family. That, if you know Willie Herrera with Drew Estate, that's where he gets it. So there's a connection there. Anyways, this moment reflects both our heritage and our future. Producing our first cigar outside the United States allows us to expand thoughtfully, while maintaining the high standards that define Altadis and Bronze. For over 30 years, we produced some of the finest small batch cigars in the industry, and we're delighted to bring the Altadis experience to cigar lovers everywhere. This is it's the ironic part about this. This is becoming a brand through General Cigars, Altadis and Bronze. So they're expanding their relationship with them.
Sure.
This is made at the Noxa factory, which is stands for Nicaraguan American Cigars SA. This is a Altadis and Bronze cigar not made at the Altadis and Bronze factory.
So that's what I was talking to Steve about before, because he hands me the cigar going, hey, here's what we're smoking. And I'm like, oh, this is 2 episodes in a row we're smoking a cigar coming from the Altadis and Bronze. And he goes, no. And I was like, what? So you have a cigar called the Altadis and Bronze not coming out of the Altadis and Bronze factory. It's like, it threw me off, but okay.
So here is the thing. When I first saw this and I saw the pricing, I was like, this has got to be a bundled cigar from Altadis and Bronze factory, because MSRP on this
sounds like it's going to be sub $8.
It's fun. People honking in the neighborhood here. Feels like the old neighborhood.
Yeah. Don't have any sirens.
Yeah.
It's not what I was going to say, but okay.
All right. Suggested retail price ranges from $7.99 to $9.49.
No shit.
I mean,
so this is I don't want to say they're duping you on this, but with the presentation, with the name and everything else, you're going to see this on the shelf, and it's like, so we're smoking the Robusto. So there's a Corona. So this one, I don't know the exact MSRP. The Corona, so it comes in Corona, Robusto, Toro, and Gigante. The Corona would be obviously logically the $7.99. I would assume the Robusto is around that $8.50, $8.25. So it's like just a hair over $8.
So with Ohio tobacco tax, you're going to be like $9.50.
Yeah, $9 to $10.
Yeah,
but that's the crazy thing about this.
But this Robusto, I mean, this is a thicker Robusto. This 5 by 54.
54, nailed it. So that's the thing, is that you are getting, based on, that's what was good that we started with the comments. I know, Nate, you already knew this, but it was like we started with the comments, Sean, with you. And you not as knowledgeable of what Altadis.
That's why I deferred to Sean first.
Well, but it's nice that you comment on the good construction, you comment on like the flavor. I think that this is the only, if you were going to call it a downfall or more of a logically priced cigar, is a little more just straightforward, right? This is something that you get the flavors you get, and it's not going to be as complex. They're using some hardy tobacco, broadleaf, and Mexican for the outside of the cigar, if you will, and then Nicaraguan fillers, and they don't really disclose what that is. But coming out of the Noxa factory, they make some great cigars. It's just again, it's almost ironic that you have a very famous in the industry cigar boutique factory in the United States, and normally they come with a higher price tag.
Yeah, I mean,
no matter who they're making it for.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Now you got this coming out.
We talked about last week with the Cohiba. Obviously, with Cohiba, for the most part, that's going to produce a specific price point in and of itself.
Right.
Coming out of that factory, you're gonna add a few bucks just coming out of that factory, because what was the M we smoked 2 weeks ago? That was what, $30?
$29.99.
Yeah, that was a $30 cigar.
Yeah.
And so now you have that same quote unquote factory, but now they're making it somewhere else,
right,
at a third, like not a third of the price, but 1/3 total.
Yeah.
Of like I think it's a really good way for them to get their name out there, because I think Altadis and Bronze, that name is for cigar nerds, like you have like enthusiasts, people that are really, really into this, people that are in the industry. They're going to recognize that name. Your casual cigar smoker may not recognize that name.
I found that funny.
I didn't realize I was a stand-up comedian over here, or sit-down comedian, whatever. But no, I think it's one of those things where they may look at it going, hey, how can we produce a cigar that gets our name out there without being a $20, $30 stick? let's work with Lanoxa, come out with something that comes in below industry average price point these days.
This is the opposite of what I think that some companies that have been producing on a mass scale, right, for other companies. Then they put their name on. Plasencia is a prime example. Plasencia, I feel like they did the opposite of this. They've been manufacturing cigars, growing tobacco, obviously, manufacturing cigars in their factories for other companies.
Yes.
Then they put their name on stuff. Now all of a sudden everything's driving each other, right? So this is something AJ Fernandez has done that more recently as well. So El Tinder took a different aspect of it. They don't necessarily, to my knowledge, grow any tobacco, but they're known for their craftsmanship. They're known for, if you get a cigar, it's
quality,
very select tobacco, and it's all the highest end rollers rolling those cigars.
That makes
now they've gone the other side of it. Well, right. So that's the thing, is that this is a slippery or maybe a tricky slope for them to navigate. Is that, all right, we're going to go to Noxa factory or another factory maybe in the future. We're making El Tita Bronze under the general cigars STG portfolio, so everyone's getting a piece of it. But like, now we're gonna put our name on a brand. Now, what do we see coming out after that? We don't know. Is there going to be more core products, or is General going to team up with them? This is your entry level El Tita Bronze cigar. Smokes well. Construction is really good. Not made by them. Now all of a sudden, they can't necessarily mass produce it, but maybe they will come out with more LEs for their own brand. It's not just Cohiba Serie. It's not. Now you have an El Tita Bronze limited edition that's offered, and that they're trying to your point, Nate, build brand recognition for the less nerdy cigar smokers that don't know what they are. When you tell someone years ago, not that many, but if you say, yeah, it's made by Plasencia, like, what's that? Now, the even more regular cigar smoker, if I say it's made by Plasencia, like, I like Plasencia cigars.
Yeah.
So that might be the approach they're going here through that. So
do you think that by using Noxa to produce this and wrap it, so do you think they hold them to a standard like, hey, you guys can do
You would
this,
hope.
but
Yeah.
make sure that it's a top, you guys got to
make
this happen.
There's a lot of
great.
there's a lot of companies that work with Lanoxa. Crown Heads, I believe, has some of their products coming out of that factory as well.
They have Asylum used to.
Okay.
So it's a big factory.
But yeah, they've done a lot of cigars for other companies.
Sure.
It's the point I was getting at was El Tita Bronze has a reputation. So if they're going to make a cigar that's not coming out of their factory, they are going to be, I think the smart move, they're going to be very hands-on.
One would hope.
No irony. About the actual production and quality of that cigar. Like, hey, we are known for our quality.
Yeah.
We want to make a cigar with your factory, but it has to live up to our reputation.
Notice they used 4 basic sizes. I say basic, not in a negative way, but Corona, Robusto, Toro, and Gigante.
Yeah.
A lot of the El Tita Bronze. 3
of the 4 most popular sizes in the industry right now.
Well, I guess, but again, one of the things that I recognize on a lot of the things, like the Goldie from La Polina for years, the Serie M from Cohiba, you see the fantail and stuff like that. I am surprised, but again, I would think for the mass production using Noxa for this price point, it would be nice to see if they kept some of their signatures on some of their cigars, if they could. So maybe like a $15 offering coming out of Noxa or another factory that General uses. Now all of a sudden you see a little bit of that more signature El Tita Bronze flair to a cigar. It feels different. It feels so. Not this one, the one we did last episode, but the Azul, last year's.
Mm-hmm.
And when I smoked and felt before I even lit it up, like the Goldies back in the day from La Polina, it was as Cuban-esque of a roll, like a farm roll, that I have ever had from a new world, especially, in the U.S. manufactured cigar. So it was something that was like they're all hand rolled. I would almost, it sounds, again, nerdy. It's like handcrafted, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
It's like there is a level of skill and art to what they were doing.
So once they get there, it seems like they're slowly getting a name for themselves based, using, Cohiba use them and stuff like that. But how often do you think people are going to, once they see this brand and like it and they see something like this, do you think they're going to, I guess the nerds of us like us will you, I guess I'm kind of a nerd, I guess.
Nate, yeah. Let's
I'm
talk about Nate.
I'm a learning nerd. Is how often are they going to look into that, what you just pulled up and go, well, Naxa did this. So I don't know if you're looking at like just the name itself and all of a sudden it's being, becomes more popular. People may just grab these and say, well, if it's Team LeBron, it's going to be good. And I'm just going to go with that.
I think there's going to be, there's less nerds out there than there are cigar smokers.
Right.
I think that this is going to be a new offering. Looks nice. General and Forged are really going heavy at a budget friendly new offerings. This is across the board. I just smoked the Glory Cubana under the Forged side of things, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Newer one.
It's a new one. I forget the name. Just smoked it. It was like literally like $7 MSRP.
Is it newer than the one we had a few months ago?
Yes.
Okay.
The Cohiba Rubicon we've done on the show, that's a budget one. That's a $10 Cohiba, right? $10, $11 Cohiba.
Do they use these guys?
No, I mean, no, I don't remember if it's coming out of Knox or wherever, but my point is that General and Forged are really trying to address the market issue of, just like every other industry, is that money's tighter. We're not trying to keep coming out with just pure luxury products. We're coming out with a luxury product at an affordable price. And we'll see what happens in if they succeed or they don't. And I think that's what Altadis and Bronze. I think Altadis and Bronze. I think this was a conversation between the founder and the president, right? That they're like, you know what, we can use our name. We can get another stream of revenue coming in if we try to diversify what we're doing within the industry. And I think that's what they're doing here. And I wish them luck. I think this is a good first offering. We'll see where it goes. They definitely did not skimp on the presentation, as you can see on the screen there. I've kept it up there for a reason.
Well, and they also got to rely on the brick and mortars that when you guys, somebody comes in looking for something new, how you sell it and say, this is pretty good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. For part one here, whiskey, cigar, and pairing, rated out of 10, each of them. Nate, you go first, if you don't mind.
Okay. So on the whiskey, I assume we're going to be talking about the cigar blend.
Cigar blend.
So the cigar blend, people that have listened to the show recently, especially when we did the High Bank cigar blend.
Sure.
A great episode.
In the last couple of years, there's been a lot of companies that have come out with cigar blend, cigar cask, whatever. And that's been a very hot button issue. There are some people out there that really enjoy them. And then there are a lot of people out there, especially in the whiskey influencer community, that are like, you know what, I'm tired of it.
Yeah, it's a trend within a trend, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, good one. And when I very first heard weeks ago that Barrell was coming out with a cigar blend, initially my thought was it was going to be similar to every other company's cigar blend. And then I see what's actually on the label. It's not done with Ambaruana. It's done with the original style cigar blends where it's Armagnac and Madeira, which also excited me because that's more on the wine side of things. And, being able to smell those profiles on that whiskey. And the thing I really enjoyed about the product was it was very whiskey forward. You really have to know those different finishing barrels to be able to pick out those flavors.
Yeah.
It's a really good whiskey. It's even better if you know what those flavor profiles and those barrels provide. So it's not necessarily trying to hit people that want something that's super sweet. And like I always describe Ambaruana as that apple pie. There's no apple pie in that bottle whatsoever. But there's a lot of complex flavors. every single one of those finishing barrels is there in the background.
Mhm.
It's not trying to be the highlight of the show. And it drinks incredibly well, incredibly smooth. So on the bottle, I'm going to give the bottle a 9.
Nice.
It is a really good bottle. It is not listed as being available in Ohio.
Of course not.
I know
Well,
there.
and then he said sold out, and like Lou's already saying, Lou
Yeah.
Guinness was listening. It's like, if you guys hear of the next batch coming out. Or
So
coming out.
I know there are other whiskey influencers within Ohio that were able to get their hands on
Yeah.
this bottle. So if you're someone who lives outside of Ohio, this is definitely something that is worth going out and finding. The thing I see a lot of people have hesitations when it comes to barrel products is usually their price point, because a lot of their stuff starts out at about that $80, $85 price point, which is a lot to spend on a bottle that you haven't had before. But when you start looking at the different barrels that go into it and the age of some of these barrels, I mean, you're talking 7 to 15 year, or this one, what, 7.5 to 18 year
Correct. Yes.
barrels going into this.
Yeah.
There's, that's old whiskey. That's going to draw a lot of money in order to be able to buy those barrels from these different distilleries that they're doing. So you have to consider that. But I think it's a really good product, because there are other cigar blends that use Madeira and Armagnac. Like Steve mentioned, the Joseph Magnus.
Sure.
That's a $200 bottle.
Mm-hmm.
This one's what, $90?
Yeah, 89. Yeah.
$89.99. So
you just look it up. You can find it online. I don't know if they'll ship to where you are, but there are a couple places. If you search it, you can buy it. The biggest kicker there, I always recommend to people, I know I'm not trying to promote buying more liquor or wine, but if you are buying online, the delivery is best if you buy multiple bottles of stuff. I just looked it up. Blackwell's has it for the 85 or so, $32 delivery. But normally when you buy multiple bottles, it'll kind of be shared among those.
Yeah, it splits the shipping cost.
Well,
But
it changes an $89 bottle coming in at like 110 after shipping. Now all of a sudden you're at multiple, and it kind of evens that out.
Yeah, but no, it's a really good bottle that if you're someone who's been on the fence about cigar blends, like this one is not your typical cigar blend, so definitely worth giving it a shot.
What about the cigar?
As far as the cigar, before Steve talked about where the price point and stuff was coming in at, I was at about a 7 on the cigar. It's a quality smoke. It's got some good flavor. It's very one-dimensional for me. Like it doesn't change. It's not a very complex smoke. There's not a lot going on the flavor. It's very just kind of one-dimensional throughout, but it's a very quality smoke. It burned incredibly slow. Like I got down to where I had half an inch left of the cigar.
Doesn't get hot.
It didn't have that bitter bite on the palate from getting too hot.
Right.
But no, it was definitely quality smoke. And then when Steve mentioned the price, like you could easily add, half a point to a full point on the value
full point
for that cigar.
Yeah.
Like the cigar by itself and what you're getting is like a 7. But if you take that sub $10 price point into consideration, that might bump it up to about an 8.
Nice. How about the pairing there?
As far as the pairing, it was really interesting because there's a lot of times where, so most of the bottles and most of the pairings that we do, we go to cigar, then to whiskey, and like the sweetness from the whiskey really stands out more because the cigar kind of just creates that cavity on your palate to where it's more susceptible to sweetness.
Mm-hmm.
And this does that. The issue comes, there's a lot of pairings where if you go whiskey and then cigar, all of a sudden drawing on the cigar reignites like spice and heat on the palate. And that's usually why we talk about how the pairings tend to favor one direction versus the other. With this one, the pairing was pleasant both directions.
I agree.
Like going whiskey and then cigar, there wasn't all of a sudden this heat that came across my palate when I drew on the cigar.
Right.
like I still tasted the whiskey, but now I was able to taste the cigar as well. They were they weren't necessarily separate, but they didn't fight each other.
No.
And a lot of times when we do the pairings, they fight. These two did not fight. So I'm going to give the pairing an 8.5.
Nice. Okay. Sean, how are you?
I'm always excited when I kind of have that same thought and he pulls it up or I say it before and then he says the exact same shit.
Oh,
I'm always like,
You're just
for
copying.
you,
you
you
feel
got-
validated.
I feel like I'm like, yes, okay, I'm on the right path.
You taste whatever you taste.
I know, but I think I have a similar palate to at least you because we seem to be kind of similar.
So
You're a little more Russian judgy on the number, but in terms of like
he was good tonight.
what you came up with, yeah, I'm shocked. Actually. No,
It's been a while since the Russian judge has come out. And
I know.
think.
So it's always like nice to know that the numbers and what you're coming up with are similar. I agree with the cigar cask. It's nothing against High Bank. I love that bottle, but to me for that one it was real high on the cinnamon. It was really strong with that and had a little bit more of a hug.
I think that's where a lot of them are going.
Yeah, and it had a little more, and they're hoping that's what pairs better with cigars. For me, this was one of those that's it'll sneak up on you because there's spice, but it's not like, oh my god, it's hugging the shit out of me. It's more of a little bit of a spice in the finish, but not like overwhelming.
Well, what you said earlier, it's not in the chest. It's not the hug.
Right.
The spice was just on the palate.
Yeah,
That's a flavor.
Yeah. And this one I love it. I'm probably 9.25 on it.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing really I can't say that's bad about it. And I'm glad we're doing it now, not that Tripp's on. So we're like, oh yeah, it's a 9. It's a 10.
And he would hate a 9.25.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he won't watch the rest of this.
Oh
He
no.
wouldn't hate it. I'm being
Tripp would probably like 4 decimal points.
Yeah. So
sounds like
this is one of these ones that I don't really go over 9 or higher unless I really like it. And I think that this is one of those that is dangerously good, especially with the proof that it's at. I feel like it's such a good, solid, like nightcapper kind of thing, and more. I'm kind of glad I don't have the bottle because I have it finished within a few days, and that's not what my wife really or myself really
It's
want.
also not overly sweet like
No,
some other.
It's got for me, it's the perfect blend.
How about the cigar?
Sorry, I'll keep moving forward.
Just trying to keep
So,
everyone on
yeah.
track.
Sorry, cigar. So I gave 9.25 on the bourbon
Whiskey
cigar.
Thursday here by the time we're done.
Yes, the
Not
cigar.
just you.
I'm doing an 8.25 again. The price point construction really brought that up.
That's nice.
It has like Nate said, it's got the basic flavors to it. But again, it's to me that when you smoke it, you would think it would be a higher price. For me, I think it would be like I was thinking 15, 16. Shocked that it's so much lower. Just in the fact that sometimes you could have a great cigar, but it burns like shit. So to me, I think the construction has a huge, higher level to it. So yeah, I'll go an 8.25 on that. And then the blend, it's probably 8.75. I'm only going 2.5 above Nate's for the most part. But I love this pairing. And he's hit the nail on the head. It's either way, you're getting they complement each other, whether you do it before you smoke it and then drink it and smoke it, even with the retrohale. It's just they complement each other. There's no fighting. It's nice. It's very refreshing to have a cigar and a bourbon that pairs so well, and it's just like they were made for each other.
Nice.
So that's how I finish it.
For me, whiskey, I'm a 9 on that. I agree. This is it's nice. It's the thing I've already kind of talked about. I appreciate what Tripp and the team over at Barrell Bourbon they do on all of these, but with this one, it's like that was why I wanted to know the answer to the question if he had one, and he did, of like why you did this, because again, you've done all these things. Everyone's doing a cigar blend, trend within a trend. That is something that is going on, and he answered it very honestly, I believe, and it is not a surprising answer. This was, we were getting asked to do it.
Sure.
The people,
because they've been known for their
the-
finishing.
well, the fans wanted to see what their take is on it because everyone else is coming out with Cigar Blend. And I didn't ask this a Tripp, and I'm curious. I think that if you're going to make a cigar blend or a cigar cask, if you are a distiller, the team needs to smoke cigars. Don't just do this.
Yeah.
Good
You
point.
know, I've talked to Ryan Venerick of Watershed, and I did throw it out there, and he was just giving me shit about it. But like, this is something that I you know, there is a technique that I would love to see tried with this type of a branding on it, and it hasn't been done yet. So, but at the very least, I think you should to enjoy smoking cigars, not just do what everyone else is doing with the different barrels that you're finishing stuff in. I mean, it's fine if you want to do it. I'm sure it's a business thing, whatever. But as a cigar smoker enthusiast, and this is what I do for a living, it's like, this is something that I want you to smoke cigars, so you're actually doing, you know, the purity of it. So this one I think is great. I think it did go well with the El Tito Bronze Nicaragua. El Tito Bronze Nicaragua, I think this is something that it's intentional of what they're doing to try to make the factory name a brand. I'm curious to see where it goes in the future. I think this is a very sellable cigar. I think this is a very
Easy.
smokable cigar that you're sub $10 with something with a name on it that
Mind-blowing.
is known for at least a $20 offering, anything they manufacture. So very confusing, but I think it's solid. I'll give it an 8. I think that all encompassing, bringing in the price like Nate did and Sean, I think, but you know, Nate, you really kind of pushed up your rating because of the price, and it's hard not to. It's a solid cigar. I think this is something where if you're under $10 now, you are a budget friendly cigar. This is something that is unheard of, especially with the name of El Tito Bronze in the presentation. So
That combination of quality and price.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the pairing, I think this was a great pairing. I think that was something that when we were doing the cigar blend, I was hoping that, and Tripp made a point of it, that, you know, you might all be smoking different things. And like, we're trying to,
He didn't know we're all smoking the same cigar.
I wanted to do something. I've smoked this cigar and we had something. Thank you to General and Forged STG for sending this to the podcast. I've smoked it. I knew what it tasted like. I didn't know what the bottle tasted like. This is your middle of the road cigar, sub average price cigar. So this was one that's like, let's throw it up against this cigar blend and see what happens. And you guys really hit it. I think the pairing, you're an 8.5. I think this is something that cigar will go with a lot of different bottles. And this is not one that is any different. This is something that I think, to Tripp's point, it will hopefully complement a lot of different cigars. And this is it sounds so bad to say it when it has the name El Tito Bronze on it. This is a very good average cigar.
No,
I
know what I know.
High up there.
I know what you mean.
I know, but like again, I'm like trying to wrap my head around the fact that El Tito Bronze is on it, and this is a very good average cigar.
Yeah.
Anything else coming out of the El Tito Bronze factory, I'm like, this is going to be excellent.
Yeah.
But
And this is,
But it's also
a
going to
very
be
good average
$30.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
but sub 10, I think it's one of the best you can put up against.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it'll be interesting to see what the competition is going forward from General and other companies, what they'll bring out of $10 round.
Can I ask a quick question
Yes.
before we finish?
That's fine. Yeah,
Do you
we're just gonna roll into the second part. Anyways.
Sure. Do you think it would be good for, like you said, them to smoke a cigar with it? But if they don't, is to bring people in that are connoisseurs of cigars to maybe try it and say, hey, could go a little more with it. It's like, for example, like Watershed and Nate, if he ever does one, or maybe he's doing one or whatever, down the road, bring us in. He knows us well.
So Ryan,
Sutton,
Yeah.
you're Nate. I've
That's
had a
your
lot
name, dude.
already to drink tonight. So Ryan, like, if they ever do one, it's like he knows us well enough to bring us in. He's been on the
Yes.
show to say, hey, let's try some cigars to go with this and see.
I think you bring in a focus group. Yeah, they'd be great.
Well-
I think Ryan enjoys cigars. You get into it, but yes,
But like if
yes, I would say yes. I think it'd be good to
That
have
would help their,
a focus group to do that.
and you can sell it that way.
yeah,
You
because like if you
can,
brought in
but-
the three of us, like one of
No,
us smokes
it's gonna
mild, one smokes mild, one smokes medium, one smokes full, like all three of us are smoking a different cigar and a different strength profile, but we're all drinking the same whiskey.
Yeah.
how do we each feel how our cigars pair with that whiskey?
Yeah.
I think it's something marketable. I think it's something that, yes, if you had someone that pushes it out, and if you had a focus group, this is all just on our side of things, is that, hey, these are 3 cigars. I want you to smoke each of these. Here's a bottle, as an influencer or whatever, or as a focus group. You guys try this, pour a glass with this cigar, another time pour a glass with this cigar, pour a glass with this cigar.
So
I think it's fine. I don't think it's necessary because of what we talked about, the fact that this is such a hot trend within the bourbon
right,
world.
but I think
So
it would take it a
doesn't
step
fucking
up.
matter
though.
at this point.
I would think it would be a step.
I think it would,
because you could actually sell that and say test whatever, tested with a focus group or whatever, and like Ryan, that we know him,
Tested by Tinder Box at Easton.
Yeah.
but like Ryan, because he's Ryan, you're on the show sometimes and you see us and you've been watching us. That's something you may want to bring us over, or you bring a bottle to somewhere else and yeah.
Ryan and I have talked about another idea. I know you guys have heard this, but and I'm not going to say it again because I don't want to upset him. I would love to. I would love to see Watershed be the first one to do the project that we've been talking about. And I had him talk with Josh Bentley from Altadis about this because he has a hookup with all this stuff. But there is something that you can do with a cigar cask that no one else has done. And I don't know if it would taste good or not, but there is a project out there that I am hoping that, of all the things that Ryan Van Rick with Watershed or anyone else, but I think with him, I would love to see that come to fruition.
Yeah.
There's something that no one's done with a cigar blend, cigar cask that is available as an idea. And I don't know if it'll ever happen. I don't know if it'll ever taste good. But even if, with him doing the toasted barrel, not getting off topic here, doing the toasted barrel, he aged it or finished it in the toasted new oak barrel for what, 18 days?
18 days.
Do that with my idea, and then you can market it. Let's go.
Let's go.
Ryan,
Let's make it.
let's do it, baby.
Let's do it.
First of its kind. You can call it bourbon and BS. No,
Yes, that's what I said.
no,
Steve gets the royalties.
I
Yeah.
need to get a better lawyer. I need to get a lawyer.
Get the PR guy on it.
We're out.
We'll be over here talking.
Topic, following trends and taking accountability. Talking about that, the reason I brought it up is because of what we were doing tonight with Tripp and with the cigar blend. And I've said the words trend within a trend. Following trends and taking accountability. There's a lot of different ways we can go with it. Sean, I texted you as well on this one. But I mean, we've talked about trends. It's been a long time. Let me see if I can bring up my notes here on this, but it's something that, with trends, you can follow it like this in an industry. Sometimes you're late to the game. I think, Barrell Bourbon has done well with what they did as far as coming late to the game, but doing things their own way, which is what they always do. Trends are like stocks. You get in too late, you might be too late to the party.
Sure.
And there's no real return on that. You're just now that awkward person that put a lot of effort into something that is possibly on its way out or on its way down.
The bubble's about to burst on it.
Funny you brought that up, and before you came out, we were just talking to Tripp, and we were talking about Longaberger.
There you go.
How that blew up, and like we even showed him a picture of the Longaberger building, and like how that was just blew up, but then it's like, it's an empty building now.
Yeah, it looks like a basket.
Yeah.
And I showed him that, and he's like, no. He was like, no way.
Yeah, we had started talking about the weather and the hailstorms that we had a week ago. And, Sean talked about it felt like you were shoveling ice, and I was like, oh yeah, this building has a glass roof.
I'm getting 2 new skylights and a new roof.
Yeah.
Thank you, Erie Insurance. Check them out, Erie Insurance. They're very selective and they are very good. Clip it. I'll put it out there and hashtag it.
And trying to get a sponsorship from Erie Insurance.
Just don't drop me, all right? Just don't drop me. Trends. Why do people follow trends? Why do companies follow trends? And what's the difference of following a trend and actually being the one that is the creator of that?
Well,
creating a trend is very, very difficult. I think there's a lot of circumstances that play in your favor on that. But, I've learned one thing before you answer, Nate, is that one example of that, we were talking about it. My mom just turned 79, and we celebrated her birthday. My brother's family got her a Stanley, not the Stanley Cup, but like something new, like the new Stanley thermos, or it was like a something,
Sure.
a design, and it was like really unique. And it was interesting because there was someone that was brought into a very older company that was known for sturdy thermoses, among other things that men typically would carry as something with them, Stanley thermoses. And it got so hot because they hired someone that basically revamped the whole thing. And now, like, there were women lining up at Target. There were women like they wanted the limited edition Stanleys, right? And they did that. Well, Kristen working with Crocs, they hired that person that came. Yeah. So like this person, again, how many people are on the creative side that they failed doing something, but when you do some sort of revamping of something and you revitalize a brand with a new product line or a new angle, and all of a sudden, like, oh man, these are new. And it's like, no. So my dad had a Stanley that went to the factory. Not my dad, but you know what I mean? Like, this was a thermos that like every, dad had,
the green
40 years. Yeah.
I've got,
and like, no, that's a different Stanley. Like, no, it's the same brand.
I've got at least one, if not two of those old school, like factory worker Stanley thermoses.
Yeah. Right. It's
and
nuts.
with the handle the handle's used to carry it with the coffee mug that spins off the top of it.
Yeah.
I've got one of those things. I freaking love that. My grandfather had one of those and took it with him to Buckeye Steel for all 29 years that he worked there.
Well, now you can get a limited edition one in like pastel pink if you're interested.
Not the same company, but They're not
very reliable.
It's not a thermos.
Yeah,
it's a sippy cup.
No, it's not a sippy cup.
But no, that's
speaking of someone that's not with trends.
But no, that's a that's a company that was known for kind of one thing. They were known for that handheld green thermos that blue collar factory workers took with them with their, with coffee into it to work every single day. And, they packed it with their lunchbox. And then someone comes along and goes, hey, so right now, like, handheld coffee mugs are a thing. These handheld metal water.
It's for water.
Cups.
That's the biggest thing.
That's a thing right now.
We
should jump on that. So it went from, a blue collar factory worker thing to a, stay-at-home mom or a white-collar lady waiting in line at Target to get the special Valentine's Day pink ones, and then they're stabbing each other in line for it.
Did that happen?
But yeah.
That's how you know it's a hit.
Yeah. I mean,
my grandma used to not get in fights, but she saw fights at McDonald's for the Beanie Babies.
No one ever fought over the old school green Stanley thermos. Now, if Stanley comes out with a new mug in a limited edition color for a holiday, you have people fighting in line for the damn thing.
The crazy thing is about what you're saying there is there's still a following for that, but now there are all the
different market share.
So there's all the knockoffs, right, of other companies.
Sure.
And to my understanding, and Kristen would know better than I would, and other people would know, but I think there have been other brands that have taken a huge share of that market share of doing that. Like now, that's the trendy one.
Look at Amazon.
Well, and that's the thing. Now you have Amazon influencers, right? So this is something that it's like, all right, Stanley, may not be needing to get the Amazon influencers now to do it, but now other companies are doing that. So it's like now you're late to the party, right? But there are all these different Stanley style cups or whatever that have come to the market, and of all the ones that'll sell, they'll buy it because it looks like it. There'll be people that buy it because it looks like it. There'll be people that don't buy it because it doesn't have the name on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, one other brand will like kind of emerge to the top, and they're riding this trend wave, but they're the ones that are like the new Stanley.
Well, and that's
right.
And I think that's
Yeti is that. I think that's, I don't know, but I think that's what the guy that was behind all this, the person that was behind all this of revamping the Stanley thing, is they saw Yeti going nuts, and it's like very successful, and you can buy a normal cooler, from Coleman,
yep.
Or you can buy a Yeti for 3 times the price, and it'll keep your shit colder for 3 days. You know what I mean? And like that was the whole thing with Stanley. It'll keep your stuff cold. Now someone else is like, well, no. So influencer, TikTok or whatever, like this one really keeps it cold.
And then you go to Amazon and now there's one.
I don't know who needs to
called
have
Schmetty,
Or no, then you have the people
I
that
don't
actually
know who needs to Champion brand is a recent one. That's another one good. Adwala is the new Stanley, Kristen says. There is like that. This is the thing. I don't know all this stuff. Like I just know it's happening. But it's like, how long do you need a cup of water cold?
Yeah.
Like, how long are you going? Now, if you're out in the wilderness, sure.
Yeah.
But if you have access to running water
and ice,
how long do you need it?
Well, and I think that's the point with.
But she did say it's like she'll wake up in the morning in like an older like Stanley Cup or whatever. Like the ice isn't there anymore. You know what I mean? It's an overnight thing, and I just have a normal glass of water next to my. It's room temperature is fine in the morning for me, but it's something that it's.
You guys drink water?
Well, I think it goes back to like it's
Nate's whiskey is room temperature in the morning when he wakes up on the nightstand.
So what Kristen said, like Adwala, Molly, my kiddo, was like obsessed with that. Now that's
old.
Well, I don't know if it's old because they're still.
I was like, geez.
No,
we both thought that's what you were going to say.
No, I think it's newer. My point is that those like that's what everyone wants to use one of those bottles now for having your water because again you're buying the brand. You're not really necessarily buying the product anymore.
I think there's got to be some validity with that, especially if you come in late. You have to have validity that your product is good, right? It's just it's like bourbon. We talk about that, right? Or even cigars, but more importantly, bourbon and spirits is like the dressing, right? The bottle, the marketing. That'll get you one buy, but as soon as people crack that bottle and are like, "This is shit," no more. And same thing with that. Any product is like this Adwala. It's like. Well, this is better than Stanley. It did keep stuff colder longer. And it's like there is value to that if that's what you're doing. I'm not like trying to belittle that. It's just it's crazy that you follow a trend in a market and you really go all in. You still have to put out a good product. There are plenty of people that go fly by night and they're just like, this is $20 cheaper than whatever. You know what I mean?
And try and get that initial
knockoff, and then you do a Google search or an Amazon search, and it's like the same product with like 18 different brand names on it. And you're like. Pretty sure this is all the same company.
Which one of you came up with this topic idea?
I did, and then I asked him a little bit about
it. I gave him some options to go through.
I think it's such a fitting topic given what we were drinking.
That's why it is an
absolute
trend within a trend.
The
accountability part was it branched off.
So I think it's an absolutely great carryover from the first part of the show talking about this. Because we were talking about a whiskey, and Steve asked the question, like, Barrell Craft was not the first company to come out with a cigar blend. They're just kind of really the latest one to come up with a cigar blend, and part of that reason is going to be for market share. It's a hot topic within that community. You're trying to gain some market share, but if you're doing the exact same thing everyone else is doing at the exact same price or even higher, what's going to make you stand out? You have to do something that makes people get your product a second time. And so I think that's what Tripp and his team at Barrell Craft were doing with this project. We're not the first ones to come out with a cigar blend, but how can we take the Barrell Craft spin of things, like what we do as Barrell Craft, and put our signature style on that type of product?
Why do you think that they sent us these products and they've done in the past? The issue is that I think a lot of the trends, I'm not trying to stay on the Stanley Cup thing, but Stanley Cup playoffs are happening. But it's the fact that you can no longer monetize on a lot of platforms whiskey or tobacco products. So they have to go a different route where like not trying to be, mean to us, but it's like, we don't have a very large viewership nationwide, internationally. We have a solid base, right? That is more than just your everyday person, but there are way bigger podcasts or voices out there. They are trying to do this. They send it out to anyone that'll listen, to someone that has a microphone that will talk about their products, because that is the game we're in now.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You can throw a commercial out there if you're Stanley Cup, or if you're Odwalla, I think it is. Yeah,
Mhm.
Odwalla. Champion brand, they're doing it. So from a major retail standpoint, you can do that. But the biggest play right now is you can get some big names possibly, or at least influencers. You start with the influencers.
Yep.
You look at we'll monetize you if you have this many followers. You have to have this many followers, and then we'll pay attention to you as a product line, and we'll reach out to you. But it certain products like alcohol and tobacco, there's just these handcuffs on those that you can no longer do it. So it's like, how do we get it out there? How do we start spreading the word? You know what I mean? You do it through the bourbon enthusiasts that were the secondary market dudes that are flipping bottles. And then beyond that, like, we don't have a secondary market on our products. So it's like I'm not saying this too negatively, anyone that's got a fucking podcast, if they've got this many views, you know what I mean? Like, that's exactly how
That's kind of what
we got.
But that's
what we're dealing with.
That's kind
what
of
these industries are doing because, like, you got Tripp, who has a very important job. He's doing it after hours, and he's talking to us remotely, and we're sitting in a garage. It's like they can't do something where it's like a TikTok or a social media thing where they're getting monetized because they're getting that many views. They're literally trying to do people that have or kind of go through the gates of people that have some sort of a following,
An influencer. Yep.
any influencer, that they will send you stuff. We didn't get money for this, but we got some free product from it because they wanted us to review it. Like, it's just, what is the next new thing? It's like, how do you get people to buy into it? I would be curious about like Odwalla.
So,
how did they get that to be the new Stanley? You know what I mean? That is a tough thing because of the Odwallas out there, if I'm saying it right, is that there are thousands of other just, Chinese companies that put out thermoses that are probably fine. You know what I mean? Hopefully they don't like give you like lead poisoning or whatever, but you know what I mean? It's like, they're fine, but they're not trendy.
I think what some of those companies are hoping for is they will get a consumer that buys the product, loves the product enough to tell other people about the product. They're not necessarily putting out a commercial about it, but they're hoping that that customer will then recommend that product to other people. I mentioned a Tripp when Steve was still inside before we went live, me working in a wine and liquor store. The cigar blend that we had tonight is not available in Ohio, but some of their other products are. So that is a product where it kind of reminds me like, oh, you know what? I kind of forgot about these guys.
Sure.
These guys make absolutely great products. So then tomorrow when I go into work and someone comes in and they're looking for a recommendation on a product, I'm sitting there thinking, maybe I recommend one of their products that we do have on the shelves. Cigar companies can't really advertise too much outside of, cigar publications and stuff like that. Why does a cigar rep, when they go into a cigar shop, hand the employees working there a cigar to try? Because they want that employee to have that brand fresh in their mind. So that way, then the next customer that walks in, they're recommending their product.
Sure.
I think that's kind of, part of the reason why you do some of those things. This, the bottle we featured tonight, it's not available in Ohio. The one on the left is the batch 37. I have that on the shelf right now.
Right.
Tomorrow, if someone comes in the store and they're looking for a recommendation and that fits in the price point, how likely am I to recommend that product? More likely than I was yesterday.
Trends remove risk, but they also remove responsibility.
If you're not the first one, yes. There's no if you're the first one, the responsibility definitely then I think falls upon you. I think also if there's something
that gamble, if you're the first one,
it is a gamble.
Trying to make it.
You're hoping other
that's
people
just marketing at that point, right?
You're hoping other people catch on because you can sit there and go, "Hey, we were the first ones to come up with this. Like, we're the OG. Like, you need to come try."
You have to fight for your spot, right? So if you're first, like, you have to realize that you can't operate like you're the best. You always have to operate like you are not the best, and people are coming from you or for you, right?
Being humble.
Humble is one thing, but it's like you have to stay hungry.
Oh yeah.
You can't.
Humble and hungry.
you can't just rest at the top of the mountain, right?
Nope.
Because someone's coming for you, and that's the whole thing.
Once you're on
But
top.
trends remove risk. So like people are doing, bourbon podcasts, people are doing cigar blends, people are doing whatever, I mean, Stanley Cups, like but they also remove responsibility. It's like you're just throwing it out there, and it's like you have to do more than just do what the trend is.
Yeah,
That's what I liked about what Tripp was saying about this.
There
this
has
product,
to be,
right? I mean,
there has to be
something that you did.
If you're going to follow up on a trend, if you're going to jump into that market, you can't be the same as everyone else already in that market. You can't be the exact same product at the exact same price point, because then people might sit there and go, well, why would I buy your product when I can buy a brand I know and trust for the exact same money? Like I'm just going to go buy them. You have to do something that stands out.
And I think that's influencing a lot of it.
Like, it was funny. Steve brought up Yeti at one point.
Sean did.
I did.
I have that little that metal whiskey mug that says this is probably whiskey on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the very first time I posted that mug on social media, Jake Sanders, one of the other co-founders of this podcast, had reached out and goes, "Where'd you get that?" And I told him where I got it and how much I paid for it. And he's like, "I got mine from Yeti, custom made, and it was $40." And I was like, "Cool, I found this on the shelf at Cabela's for $15." Like,
so yeah, I mean, like that's the thing, is that once you try to go big, you get big. Now all of a sudden you have this huge infrastructure that you have to pay for, right? Like not only are you trying, like it's not just people gouging or companies gouging you. It's like they got big, so now there's more expenses. The P&L looks different.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to deal with that part of it, and you have to know how to scale up to that. And that's, I think, a big failure for a lot of companies and people within companies, is that it is very difficult to do that successfully. We saw it in the bourbon industry, right? Recently, where the bourbon boom, everyone, like all these big companies put so much money, like you're talking millions and billions into it. I didn't want to talk to Tripp about that, but it's like, that was one of the things, is like any sales, you have like a hot couple years for outside factors. Cigars, same ways, right? Like, you have all this stuff. I was in the moving industry before that, and it's like when things were booming, that was great. The bubble burst, you're like, oh, our biggest competition is literally do it yourself. It is U-Haul rentals, because things change. The horizon changes for all these industries, so it's always a gamble. And that's, I think, one of these things, is that trend removes the risk, but they also remove responsibility. Well, this is what's hot, let's just go with it. It's like, well, let's go with that, but what's the next step? Like, where are we going with it? So you can't just copycat a trend.
So one of the things I thought about there at the very end when we had Tripp on, so Barrel Craft is an NDP, non-distillery producer. They're buying barrels from other producers, blending them, finishing them, doing all that stuff. And as Steve just mentioned, over the last 5 years, there have been a lot of companies, a lot of distilleries out there that have put a ton of money into more stills, more rick houses, putting away more product. That bubble has burst. So, I think one of the interesting things that might happen with someone like Barrel Craft is some of these producers that they are sourcing from, they're going to get stuck with excess inventory, dated inventory that they just want to offload. And maybe it helps someone like Barrel Craft, where now they can go to these people they've been working with and potentially buy some of these barrels they have been buying at a little bit lesser price, or getting older barrels for what they were buying for younger barrels.
You got to find that fad, right? And I think bourbon is a terrible cigar, the same way, because you have to age these products.
Yeah. You can't just crank it out in a factory overnight.
Loved Tripp's response, where it was, like he's like, we've done this and it's years in the making. So, you can't really, like, no one's doing what we've done for that. In the bourbon industry, it's obviously like there was this huge, I always go back to this huge secondary market. The reason your shit was flying off the shelves, not because people were drinking it, it's because they're reselling it.
No one's reselling their stuff.
Right.
So people are buying it, drinking it, buying it again.
That's someone like that. This is a prime example, like the Cigar Blend. Lou McGinnis, who's a big supporter of the podcast, big supporter of Tinder Box Easton. He was one that he's like, hey, if this is re-released or they add more out there, they send more of the batch out there, let me know. He commented, he's like, Steve, Nate, let me know if it gets out there, because now it's like he's trying to fucking drink it. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Going back to like the Stanley Cup, where I look at like Nike. It's like I remember when I bought a pair of it was in 94, 95, so I was like 15 years old, and Jordan came back
96
from his first retirement.
Yeah, 96.
That's,
well, he came back late 95.
So they re-released the Air Jordan 1s, and I bought a pair, and then I bought the black pair, and I was wearing them. I was in high school still. Westerville, suburb of Chicago, or of Columbus, where I live now. It's like people are like, oh, those wrestling shoes, right? Like,
yeah, they did look like wrestling shoes. Oh yeah.
Nike was obviously killing it still, but it was like no one knew in my age bracket, and and now fast forward, now they make Air Jordans, they make Air Force Ones. They don't have the Jordan logo on it, probably because it's cheaper for them because they don't have to pay Michael Jordan on that. But it's like they come in every color combo. You can make your own.
Yeah.
Pay extra, make your own color combo. Like let's pick out every panel of leather on there and you can give it a color. It's your audience. It trends come back. It's all cyclical too, but it's you want to have that variety. You don't need to necessarily rely on a secondary value of these products, like we talked about the Stanley Cups. It's like I don't think anyone was reselling these things. But it's like
they were reselling Stanleys. Oh yeah,
were they really?
The Valentine's Day pink ones. They did a pink and
red.
Do you have
one of these? I feel like you know a lot about them.
No, I don't.
Does Jess?
No.
Does anyone in your family?
No.
So you didn't get any?
No.
Okay.
So are they selling for more?
Yeah, they. That's why I mentioned it earlier.
Still though, that'd be a good question.
So I think the limited edition Valentine's colors, I want to say those came out 2, maybe 3 years ago. And people were lining up at Target and stuff like that. They were fighting each other for these things. And then they were reselling them for double the money. You had people going in. You had ladies.
What if Stanley Cups go for? Like $20?
I would say 30 to 40.
All right. So you're selling for 60, 80.
At least. Or if it was the limited edition colors, like maybe at least $100. But you had people going into some of these stores and buying as many as they could to resell them. Same thing we've seen in the bourbon market. People go in and they'll buy as many bottles of that product as they can to resell it and make money. It can happen in almost any industry. I wouldn't say every industry, but there's a lot of industries that can happen in if it is a limited product that is part of a trend.
Why do you think that there are, as we've gotten older, right? We've gone through our generations. Mm-hmm. There are more things like in obviously Hollywood, but also Stanley's a great example of it. I just brought up Nike with the Air Jordans. He hasn't played basketball in how many years?
He retired 25 years ago?
That's insane.
Again, yeah, but like, why do you think that people are recreating so many things like that were popular when we were young?
Well,
no, right? So following trends, taking accountability.
So there's a reason for that.
All right.
So a lot of us, especially in our age demographic, there's a lot of things that, or even some of those older. So why did they come back? Why did Dodge come back out with a Charger?
Good example.
Because back in the 60s and 70s, you had teenagers or people in their early 20s that bought a Dodge Charger or Challenger, and that was the quintessential peak of the muscle car industry. And people, they were able to buy those cars for $4,000 or $5,000 back then. Obviously different based on incomes. But those were super popular cars that now one of those cars will go for 6 figures on an auction. And now it's like, hey, let's come out with the Charger, the Challenger, the Camaro, stuff like that. Brands that have kind of been dormant and been away for a couple decades.
Sure.
Because now the people that were buying those when they were
at that
20,
age.
25
Yeah.
years old. Now they're in their 40s, 50s, and they have disposable income to be able to buy those things. So the people that were 14 years old and their parents bought them a pair of Nike Jordans, now those people are in their 40s. Nike comes out with a new Jordan. It's like, well, now the people that bought those and had them when they were kids, they remember that feeling when they were a kid and how much they loved it. They have the money to now buy that same product for way more than it ever was back then.
But you know, the genius of it all is just like the Stanley Cups. Who do you see driving Chargers and Challengers? Those people. Who do you see buying the Jordans? Not that demographic that used to. That's the brilliance of it.
Yep.
That's literally the brilliance. And I'm not going to dive down that rabbit hole, but it is, you have to appeal. Yes, you're absolutely right, because that is, I think, the initial idea behind the marketing team or whatever. You know, like, hey, let's bring this out. I still think that you go to cars, right? Like if you brought out a Lincoln Continental, they did. Again, what didn't it have? What did it not have?
Was it not 18 feet long?
No. When Lincoln brought out the Continental again,
Is there like an animal on the hood or anything?
suicide doors.
Oh,
What Lincoln Continental is iconic, and why do people want that? It's the 60s.
62.
It's this. Well, there was a year range of that, but there was
The Kennedy era.
It was all about the suicide doors.
Yes.
Are you telling me that you couldn't bring out a Lincoln Continental for the same cost and you put suicide doors on there and it was structurally sound with the technology we have today? No, what they did was
I'd buy that.
These that's my point. It was a big miss.
I would.
You bring back an old, like what you're like.
Bring back an old boat
You
with
have to do it.
with suicide
Make
doors.
it look like, don't just put the name on it.
Yeah.
The first Chargers actually, I think, didn't do as well. It did well, obviously, but then like the Challenger came out and they made it retro.
The
They're like,
Challenger,
holy shit.
when the Challenger came out, that looked like the
Thunderbird?
Charger,
I think
the
Camaro's
old
a
70s
fucking
Charger.
sick.
Camaro, it's coming back out. I don't know if you guys heard that.
Yes.
You know what my dad loves, and I wish they would sell them, and I'd like to rent it for him for a day, is he had an Austin Healey Spray, and that was one of those cars that would be kind of
There-
who made those? Anyways.
There's a lot of people in our age demographic that one of the growing things that we've been talking about, bring back the old box shaped trucks. Bring back the old, like
Well, I
70.
think the actual Ford Broncos have done well.
Oh, GM might be coming out with the Jimmy
O.J.
again.
Simpson.
The Jimmy, what a piece of shit.
No.
What a piece of shit. No,
No.
that was a piece of shit.
Hold on. The
My
GM's
brother had one of those. It was like that cream and blue.
Mhm.
It was like an
two-tone.
89.
That's another thing.
I
Two-tone.
know.
Two-tone color. But no,
Bring back a good Woody.
they're
Grand
How much
Wagoneer.
my wife wants? She's
They're-
dying for a new one.
they're
Bring back a Grand
No, no.
Wagoneer Woody.
they're
It's only $110,000.
I know.
well, that's not going to work. But no, GMC is actually
California.
GM is actually looking at bringing back the GMC Jimmy, and it's not going to be a unibody. It's going to be a body off frame, how the original ones back in the 70s and 80s were.
All right,
Because
so
that's what a lot of the people that had those back in the days really want. They don't want a unibody anymore.
I understand that, but with the trends and taking accountability for that is that you have to do it the right way, right? Because that was my point with when you talked about like Dodge doing the Chargers and the Challengers. And I agree that at one point I thought that is that why the reason they're doing it is because the people that wanted it or missed those cars now have disposable income. They're going to buy them. There's a stereotype about who drives those cars.
Yes.
It's not who you're talking about.
No. You're gonna
But
find an
that's
8-year-old
from a-
Charger with 18 owners.
From a business standpoint, still brilliant.
Yeah.
You're selling your cars.
The most highly theft cars in the industry.
He is.
No, Chargers and Challengers.
This kind of falls into that. One of the things that we were I sent you, like trends that last 3 days, super fast trends. By the
Yeah.
time you understand it, it's already over.
What do you got for that?
That's one of those. You kind of see it coming when they do have those. It's more of a. I don't think it's a product necessarily. It's more of whatever is blowing up on TikTok, whether it's I don't know, they used to do the stupid dances and shit, and they do these weird ass things and then it would be done. I think products are a little more like we've been discussing. It's more of a diving back into what was back in the day that influenced the young kids back then, how they can twist it or reinvent it and influence the younger kids now. I think that by throwing those out like the Chargers, I love the Chevy, the Camaros. I thought back in the day those were fucking badass muscle cars.
It's coming back.
Yeah, but again, it's like how modernized do you want to make this? I mean, in terms of like the inside, like I call it the avionics.
Put it up there.
Okay, like how. I love the build, the V8 engine. I love the way it was designed. I love everything about it. But like, you got to also be careful to not make it too modern.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it kind of like ruins the whole.
So there's a company out there that if you buy, and this was probably 8 years ago. So there was a company out there. If you came to them and bought a brand new Chevy Camaro and sent it to them, they had different packaging levels.
Mm-hmm.
So they would swap out the motor for like a bigger, like LS type motor.
Mm-hmm.
But then also they would actually cut it to put T-tops on the car.
Mm.
They would do fenders and grills and hoods to make it look like an old school Pontiac Firebird.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they built their business model on was, hey, you're someone who's in your 40s and 50s. You've got the money. You can buy a base Camaro, come to us. We'll throw, an LS7 motor in it. They actually have a specific machine that cuts both T-tops at the exact same time. So that way they're the same dimension and fit perfectly. And they will give you a T-top Camaro that looks like, what was the movie with Burt Reynolds?
Smoking the Bandit.
Smokey and the Bandit. We will give you a Smokey and the Bandit Camaro. It's a Camaro, but it looks like a Smokey and the Bandit Pontiac.
Mm-hmm.
And that company actually did fairly well for a brief period of time because there were a lot of people that are like, shit, I remember I had that 6.6. It was a 6.6 liter V8 T-tops. Like, I want to relive that again, but with the modern technology and suspension, performance, and all those things. Like, let's go. And you had people spending the money to do that. It was, I think, short-lived because not everyone wants to spend that kind of money to be able to do that.
I'm sure that's not cheap.
No, it's not.
But if you're trying to like get the everyday buyer that's more affordable, it's like you still want to keep the original bones of the car very similar to what it was. Yeah, you can soup it up, but it's back to that. And that's kind of like, to me, like you said, it didn't last long. So it's part of that like 3-day trend where it comes, not say 3-day, it goes longer than that, but it's like, it's something for a trend. You want as many people as you can to experience it, buy it, whatever it may be. And I think that when you try to like do something like that, it becomes unreachable. Buying cars now. I mean, a cheap car is over 30 grand anymore, where it used to be in the teens, or unless you buy something super cheap. But it's like, that's what sucks about a lot of the stuff in the industry. Like, all these trends that come up end up being unreachable. And so it's like you're trying to like maybe follow a trend, but all of a sudden you're like, well, that's impossible for me to get to that or do that or buy that. So it's getting your finger or finding the pulse of the American, whether it's the buyer or the follower, to be able to have an opportunity to grasp that. And I think that a lot of these, by the time you realize like I think I can make that work, then it's like, well, shit, that's there and gone. And it's like, okay. But I think a lot of trends and a lot of things that you get are based on being able to show people like, hey, this is what I've got because this is the trend. It's same with these allocated bottles of bourbon. You have these getting these Blantons or E.H. Taylor or whatever. It's like, if you like that flavor and you really enjoy it, fuck yeah, I get it. But if you're getting it to show everyone, look what I got, like Steve would say, the crotch shots and these bourbon.
Yeah.
Wait, explain that. Don't say that. I just say crotch shots. It's been a while.
No, I'm going to leave it at that.
No,
but I'm saying is,
Steve talked about it.
I don't just send.
Steve talked about it years ago. There's a lot of so back in the day, Steve would share this podcast in some of these bourbon groups, and admins of the page would not allow the post, even though if we had someone like Tripp Stimson on today,
I'd send it to like a bourbon group, and they're like,
some of these bourbon groups wouldn't allow that post to go out. Here we have the chief blending engineer of this brand, talking about their products. These groups wouldn't allow us to post that product. But if you look at everything else on the thread, it was literally someone sitting in their car with their bottle in between their legs taking a picture of it. That's what he means by crotch shot.
Thank
you,
Nate.
That's all
I
the
just
thread.
Feel like you can get arrested for that.
That's all the thread in that entire community would be about. And here we have someone who's actually behind the brand, someone who's making the products. And these people don't want to hear it.
Well, I appreciate the breakdown, and not to make him a pervert, but no, that we understand what it means. My point
criminal record
is that it's what are we grasping at as a trend? Is it something that's really going to benefit you, or is it something you want to have because everyone else has?
So I want to, you made some good points. And I don't know if you saw it going this way, but that is something with a trend that is very interesting, because when you said that you try to follow a trend possibly and you can't afford it, right? I feel like that's what I heard from you.
Sure.
That's the brilliant side of it is you create a product, you can't go too cheap, but if you get so popular, you get people out there that are literally living paycheck to paycheck or less, and they just are seeking it out because it's so popular. It is a status thing, right? You have that. You have counterfeit markets. You have those things, as far as, just knockoffs and stuff like that. That's I keep going back to it because that's what we brought up originally, but like a Stanley Cup or whatever. But you have these companies that come out with knockoffs of that, but it's like there is a validity for some people that they are seeking that approval.
Yeah.
This is where the taking accountability side of things come into it. Is like, are you able to follow the trend you want to? You know what I mean? You follow that. We're finally, I think we're beyond the people that we talked about years ago on the podcast, where it was like, they're taking pictures in front of a jet. You're in that industry.
Yeah.
Taking a picture in front of a jet, and in front of a car. They don't own it, but they just happen to be in front of it. They take a picture. Like, another day on the job. You know what I mean? Entrepreneurship is really tough. And you're like, what? You have like 1,200 followers. Like, what do you do for a living?
Well,
like, no, just people don't get it yet, but I am just grinding out here. I think that is part of it, is that we have progressed to a point, but now the biggest marketing, it's always been the case. The biggest marketing, I guess, sore spot for a lot of people is that they strive to get to things that they don't really certainly don't need, but they don't, they can't afford. They don't, I say this carefully, they don't deserve it.
No.
Right. So we all, growing up, and there's someone I listen to is like, and that person has done really well. He's a podcaster. He owns a lot of businesses, but it's like, I remember a story he told that he like a lot of kids had a picture of like a Lamborghini, like Countach, and he had and who knows if this is true, but he had a different mindset. He doesn't just want that car. He wants to build a career, a lifestyle, a business. He wants to build a living so that he can afford the car.
Sure.
The mindset is that you can afford these things is different than the mindset that I want these things.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. It's not just semantics. There is that you put yourself in a position where people say, wouldn't it be nice or must be nice that you can afford that?
Yeah.
Or must be nice that you have a solid, 30-year marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And then you actually talk to those people and you're like, well, I mean, man, it must be nice that you guys got this, 30 years in this marriage and this relationship. It must be nice that you have all these nice things, a nice house and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, it is. It's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how'd you get there? Talk to me about your journey there.
Do you want
And you're like,
do
I don't think you want to know.
you want to hear all the struggles?
Do you want to hear the valleys?
25 years this
Yeah.
May 19th.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
hear about all the bad times, all the down times?
I mean, it's like,
No, you just
we
wanna
all
hear
have
about
our
all the ups.
stories. Yeah, it's like, oh man, you are so happy right now. And I just, yeah, it must be nice. You're like, well, what do you want to hear about the not nice times in my life? We've all got them. You know what I mean? And it's
So,
like,
I remember
that's the accountability side of it. It's the naive mindset of like, if
highlight
I
reel.
do this, the highlight reel is never the real story.
yeah.
Right. And I think that's the accountability thing. Is like you follow the trends and you want to have those nice things. You want to have that. There have been things that have just seeped into our lives. I feel like we're all sitting here in front of this. We're able to stream it, the technology side of it. I've got an iPhone. You've got an Android phone. You got an iPhone. These things not too long ago. And even right now, like with the systems in place have subsidized this so that everyone should have $1,000 computer in their pocket,
Mm-hmm.
and no one bats an eye.
Nope.
Right. You have these, though that's successful. Apple, that was hugely successful.
Yeah.
Android, successful another way, like Samsung, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't matter, but there are companies and people that have been so successful that they have creeped into your everyday life that you just expect that you need to have that.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have the other ones like the Stanleys we talked about. I'm not going to bring that up, but you have all these things like the luxury things that are out there. Not Stanleys, but like luxury things, cars and houses and brands of fashion and all that stuff that you just like, you want.
Yeah. Now,
But you just want it.
right.
You don't understand necessarily how do you get there.
Yeah.
That's, I feel like, this accountability that people don't
So
necessarily.
why do you?
You want it because it makes you feel good. You want it because the people that have it, this is going back to as kids. I think that even though as naive as we were as kids, and you want to say that you weren't impressed by anything, but you go over to that friend's house that
They have Atari. You don't. I'm aging myself right now.
well, I was gonna, that's a good point. Like that movie 8-Bit with Neil Patrick Harris. I mean, that was a great 80s, throwback of Nintendo. But you go over to that, it's like, man, that'd be nice. And you have no concept of money. You have no concept of what it takes to do that. You have no concept of the sacrifices. I've known a lot of rich people. I've known a lot of poor people that went through divorce. I've known a lot of people that have had struggles, whether they're rich or they're poor or middle class. The real side of things is that everyone has their ups and downs and struggles. But if you're just chasing the things that you can't afford,
Mm-hmm.
you got to change how you make your money. You have to change how you get to that, or you have to change your mindset that you don't need those things. Go ahead.
You have to look at it. You create your own 3-day trend by going after something. And then once you get it and it's all said and done, you got to find the why. Now, if it's something you need and you're going to use, that's one thing. But if it's one of these things where you're getting it so you can share it to everyone on Facebook and Instagram to say, look what I got.
That's the 3-day trend.
Right. And so
You post something and you're like, and I'm empty now.
yeah. And it goes back to, and I've said it before, I've lost, there's a point about 10 years ago where I lost close to 50 pounds, and I was so excited about what other people would say and recognize me and like, oh, you lost weight. And I got to that point, and I got to it, and then it was like they did it, and it's like the most anticlimactic feeling I've ever had. I think a lot of that goes into what people do with these trends. It's like you get something because that is a trend, but within 3 days, it's either no longer a trend, or you get it, you share it, you get however many likes, maybe a couple compliments, and then that's it. There's no like pot of gold at the end of the rainbow kind of thing. There's no fulfillment. It's more about.
I think that brings a deeper question.
I'm finished.
No, I'm just saying that's where if you're constantly looking for that, you're never going to find any fulfillment in your life, because all you're doing is chasing something that really isn't necessarily needed. You're basing it on outside influence, and then you realize that once you get it, it's kind of,
So the question I was going to ask for that is, are you tired of it because you are just tired of it, or are you tired of it because other people are tired of it? Like, if you get something because you wanted it, and then a week later, like for the next week, for the next month, people are like, oh, I'm so happy for you. You got this. I wish I had this. And they're giving you all this praise for accomplishing whatever you accomplished to be able to get that thing. And then the compliments go away.
Huh.
Are you now disappointed?
I think people can see through, and they don't necessarily always mean to be negative towards that, but there are people that I know that live beyond their means, and they look at things as a status symbol, and you're happy for them. But if you really know them, or you even barely know them, but you know what they do, what they do for a living, all that stuff, and you're like, no, I'm happy for you, but it is so half-hearted. Be like, man, Nate really shouldn't have bought that, because
if he's living paycheck to paycheck, why are you doing that? Yeah,
he's just been complaining about it, and then after the fact, you're like, man, I finally got this thing. Like, oh, it's great, it's really good. I'm happy for you. And then 2 weeks later, it's still the same. You're like, how you doing? I'm stressed about this payment. I'm stressed about this. I'm not picking on you, Nate, by any means. Like, right? No, I mean, because I didn't want to say any names that I initially came to my mind. But I mean, I when I was single, it was like things change. You have a fixed income. I know people that did well, and then they retire, and their whole mindset changed because they retired not prematurely, but it's like things are different because you're now on this new fixed income, which is not what you at your heyday were making. And that's fine. Like, it's just, you just have to adapt. You always have to adapt. And
Sure.
you just, go ahead.
Another thing is too, is like you see an ad on Facebook, or, a trend that's popping up about like a new set of earbuds, or I don't know, sensitive.
What?
So,
Let's get a GoFundMe page for some earbuds.
No.
Patreon.com.
My point
you
is,
Venmo at Bourbon and BS and put Sean's earbuds.
Yeah.
We'll get him a new pair.
Sure.
He lost them.
No, but there's another story to that. I have more information.
There's development.
Yeah. I'm not buying a new pair of those, but my point is that it's like maybe you go for something because it's the newest, best brand of higher technology with hearing, with earbuds or whatever.
Sucks.
And you get it. And then 2 weeks later, they either suck or you lose them, like I did, or there's a newer brand.
Always something
coming up, So you're like, well, can I justify getting those because they have? Well, I can't fucking hear in one ear, so why does it fucking affect me anyway? But it's just,
these will help with your hearing loss.
Yeah. So these
we talked about Apple
but you know how many
AirPods.
fucking pairs?
You got me hooked there.
Dude, I have like probably 10 different pairs of earbuds that like I bought over the years. I have a Bose set. Well, I wanted something newer that's more just, it's hiding better. And I'm a victim to and a sucker for a lot of this shit. And I don't necessarily share, look what I've got, but it's something that you, even as a person, you want something that's newer and better because you think it'll be better. But then
You're excited.
But then after a week, it's like, okay, well, there's a new version now. You know what I did with those fucking earbuds that I lost? I went and found a $25 pair on Amazon and got good reviews, and they sounded better than the $150 fucking Samsung earbuds I had. So, like, I'm not bragging about it. Like, hey, look at me on Facebook. But
Samsung.
there's a lot of stop it.
Oh.
I got their phone back off. But
It just shuts off.
Why did my phone die?
Must be your battery's out.
But sometimes it's like if you start to see a pattern developing on certain things that you want so bad based on an ad or a trend, and you say, you know what? I just looked and found something for, $200 cheaper, and they work just as well. That's when I consider that a win.
So it's funny because I know you're old.
Yeah,
that's a win.
Yeah,
when you're young, right? Like it's not a brag. That is. I think it's I guess you're.
It's like couponing.
Yeah, it's not cool to coupon. I've go up to well, God, can you even do that at a self checkout? I think you can, but no one wants to do that.
But
I've never considered myself as.
Wait, hang on one second.
No, what I was going to say is, you know what I want now? I want headphones like Dre Beats because I have hearing aids and I can put those on and hear the sound better.
Yeah,
but that's more of I need it because of my hearing sucks. But and it sucks because I got Molly.
If you want Dre's, you're about 10 years past.
I got Beats by Dre.
You forget about Dre?
I've never forget about Dre, but I got some from Molly, a pair of them a few years ago for Christmas, and I came in yesterday. I'm like, hey, can I borrow those? Like, nope, those are mine. I'm like, all right, little shit, I bought those for you. And
you can't take it back.
I can't. Yeah, they're like, nope, I use them.
Yeah, no, Molly says no. These are mine.
So maybe I'll go back to Amazon and find the Shrieks by Bray brand that may be similar to.
You're gonna be like in downtown.
I get the $25 ones.
An alley in Columbus in a van, right next to the purse lady. You're gonna get these earbuds.
Yeah.
No, he's gonna walk through the mall and someone opens a trench coat and be like, "Hey, I got these for sale."
No, if someone opens a trench coat, you're in a different ballpark. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah, I've really never considered myself.
Me?
No, I'm saying to myself. I've derailed.
I've never considered myself one of those that goes with the trends.
No shit. If you listen
next
to
time
more than one podcast.
Expand on that, Steve.
I'm gonna go to you when I start getting suckered in for a trend. I'm gonna go, Nate, should I get these? Fuck no.
Why would you get those?
Reason.
A pair of earbuds from 1992. Nate over here.
I don't have earbuds.
What model of a Discman do you have?
None.
I almost came to
No,
Walkman.
No, so
yeah.
No,
it's waterproof on the yellow one.
Yeah, I had a Sanyo.
No, it's funny you say that, Discman. The very first car I ever owned, my dad bought for me. I was in college, and
that must be nice.
All right.
I just hold on.
What was the car again?
Hold on. So I was getting ready to go into my sophomore year of college. So this would have been the summer of 2003, and my dad bought me a 1994 Nissan Sentra.
Yeah, baby. I had one of those.
For $1,500.
There you go.
That's how much I paid for my first car. Guess what it was?
A Cadillac.
Chevy Cobalt.
Shut up.
He had a Cobalt.
I had a Cobalt.
Sorry.
I love that car.
My bad.
I love that car too. But no
one's listening anymore.
When I first got that car, that car had a tape deck.
Sure.
Hell yeah, man.
I was so excited to go to Media Play.
Yes.
Yeah,
brother.
Morris Road, or where you at?
I used to go to the one on.
There was a Media
Easton.
Play, I think, off of Georgesville.
Yeah, that was the best part.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Media Play off Georgesville.
Camelot.
I was so excited to go there and buy some cassette tapes to be able to play in my car.
So trendy.
And then a year later, the girl I was dating at the time, we spent the first half of spring break at her parents in Kansas, and she had a Discman on the dash of her car.
So was it a car Discman? Because I had one of those.
Anti-skip.
It was a car disc. So
I
she
spent my confirmation money on it.
she had a Discman on the
$200
dash
back
that then had the cassette to play
but
in.
it didn't bounce. Like it had a spring. It
Anti-bounce,
Yeah.
anti-skip.
Yeah, the anti-skip. Oh yeah.
didn't work.
Like oh no, it worked fine. But like I was sitting there, I was almost jealous of her car because she had a Discman that could play CDs and my car is still playing cassettes.
You also could have had a car Discman.
I could have
You
if
just
I
buy
wanted
the
to.
thing, you put the cassette in and hook it up to a Discman, right?
Yeah, that's what she had.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I bought that with my.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what I like about what you said though, Nate, it's like when
Which
you
part?
it's when you said your dad got you a car.
Hmm.
When you get something like that where it may not be the coolest, latest trend of whatever cars out there, but that's your car.
Oh,
You were
it
given-
was cool to me
Yeah,
because I had
that's
my
the-
own
that's
car.
the kind
No,
of
stick with that. Stick with that though.
It's kind of
It's your car.
Well, and
Yeah.
then
No.
when I actually bought my first car, I bought my first car it was February of 2008. It was a 2000 Chevy Cobalt.
RIP.
I just sold it 2 years ago.
Second motor.
I did put a second motor in that car. That's right.
Should have kept
Um,
That's a good girl.
Could be a-
It didn't even have a cassette player, had a CD
worth
player.
millions in a couple of years.
There
No,
were
it'd
no
never be worth anything.
there were no creature comforts in that
Right.
car whatsoever.
There was roll down windows.
No. I had hand crank
I
windows.
said roll down
said.
windows. Yeah,
It's the
roll
same
down
thing.
windows.
I had hand crank windows.
Yeah,
I had
yeah,
manual
Like that.
locks, no cruise control.
That's a crime.
No,
no air conditioning.
the air
Did it-
conditioning worked. The air conditioning,
With or without a windshield.
it had a windshield.
All right, good.
Shut up. I'm telling you
Came
right.
with some glasses.
I'm telling you right now. When I sold that car 2 years ago,
You cried.
I would put the AC and heat up against any brand new car.
Sure.
There was nothing else like just routing the power at that point.
That car was so good to me.
Oh, man.
But again, I
The
don't-
the air.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Let's
but again, that was your car. That's something that it's different than buying something trendy, but then to buy something that it's like you put hard earned money into and
Yep.
you knew you were going to get something out of it, and that became your baby.
Even-
That's such a solid thing to have.
Do you know
I
how?
agree
Do you
completely.
know how hard it was to sell that car even a year after I bought my Lexus?
it was easy to buy for someone.
Like, oh yeah,
Yes.
it
Man's tradition.
it was a semi friend,
I don't know what that means, but all right.
Eddie, that used to work at the shop.
Sure.
He and I aren't necessarily friends. We don't agree on most.
Oh,
But
yes.
I did him a favor and I
Sure,
I sold him that car as a favor,
That was his baby then.
and it went to his kid.
I think there's something to be said
Eh.
about.
There was a part of me like there were still things I loved about that car.
There always will be, and I think that's what Sean's trying to make, and I think this is something that we can round into our closing remarks of,
Sure.
of fouling trends and taking accountability. It's you know, I don't want to say it's a guy thing, but you know, it is the car thing and just what you spend money on. It is funny. I joked about it, you know, Nate, when I said, "Oh, do you know what my first car was that I paid money for?" You said Cadillac. I'm like, for $1,500. Yeah, I actually did.
Yeah.
But I had a little bit of this identity from my dad, different identity than I have now, years and years later after he passed. But like I drove his '79 Lincoln. Now that had way more features than your Cobalt, by the way.
Yeah, it did.
It had cruise control. It had 6-way power seats. It had power windows. It had a CB. It had an 8-track player, by the way. Quadraphonic. Do you know what quadraphonic means?
I've heard of
Not
it.
stereo. Not
No.
stereo. Stereo is left and right, right?
Right.
Hydroponic?
Quadraphonic.
So it just played all four speakers.
It was a 4-channel 8-track. Yeah.
Nice.
Talk about technology. These kids today, yeah, I'll tell you what, they don't even know what quadraphonic means.
I guarantee it.
5.1, 7.2, whatever, surround sound. Yeah. Talk to me. Come back. I think my car has like.
I thought 7.2 was the size of the engine.
Yeah, you did. No, it is. It had a big 400 cubic inch. Anyways, but my point is that was the whole thing. You knocked it right on the head there, Sean, is that the reason, I don't know why I had this identity with it. It wasn't not saying that I didn't want to be like accepted by kids my age, and as you grow up, there's all sorts of things you want to do that, follow trends and all that. I've always had that as well, but there are certain things in my life that I just kind of did my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I did surround myself with some people that thought it was cool, right?
Sure.
A lot of people didn't, but yeah, to your point, Nate, I did. The Cadillac I have now, again, I'm 45. I still think that people might look at me weird driving the car I drive right now. It's a nice car. It's a beautiful car, but it's not your normal. You don't see many of them.
It's not a Honda Civic.
Civic, and it's also not the American now luxury thing where it's like I'm not driving a Mercedes or BMW, and I love Kristen's BMW, and she's looking at Mercedes, and I think they're beautiful cars. I would love to drive those things, but it's like there is something that I think was ingrained in me.
You have a connection to it.
There's a connection there to that. Like, again, if Lincoln would have come out with a suicide door Continental, I would have been beyond my means to buy a used one of those.
I think there's a lot of.
It's just, but it's not because people thought it was cool. It's like that's what I think is cool.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of things that in my life that I do try to make other people happy, because I feel like that's going to make me happy. But on my side of things is I feel like I've kind of done things for better or worse that are. I never go against the grain, I never go for the grain completely, but I just try to get to that point where I have a comfort level that is my identity.
Sure.
That's what I'm comfortable with.
That's awesome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. That's what it's all about.
And it's weird though, because on the flip side of that is that if I was in a worse position in life, I would buy an older Cadillac versus a newer Chevy.
It's understandable.
It's weird, right?
No, I get it.
And I think the GM had that right back in the day, and they had to change things at that point, because what they did was that they structured things, and we've talked about cars a lot. They structured things that it's like you had Chevy, you had Oldsmobile, you had Buick, you had what else did they have? They bought Saturn at one point. You know what I mean? They did all those things to try to like you keep in the family, but it's based on what you can afford. And it bit them in the ass, because you can't always make everyone happy with your product line. You have to know who your buyer is, and you also have to know who feels good about buying your products, that can afford it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's why car companies have different levels.
It goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
GM has, Chevy. They have Buick.
That's what I was
They
saying.
have Cadillac. They have GMC.
But
like,
they
they're
used
different
to have like 3 other
tiers.
brands.
Yes. Yeah, they used to.
That's what I'm saying, is that's the whole
But
thing.
there were
like,
tiers within the company depending on where you were personally in your life. There were people
but
that
that's what I'm
bought.
saying, is that there's one thing that I will not do, and it's nothing against it at all. I had a Honda at one point. I had a Nissan when I was doing it. You know what I mean? But I bought the Nissan that I actually asked the salesman that was doing a test drive with me. I was like, "What's that? Does this thing have a heated steering wheel?" Yeah, we don't have those in Nissans. I was like, "That's what that button looks like." And he's like, "Holy shit, we had a heated steering wheel." I was like, "Yeah, you do." I was like, "How do I know more about Nissan Altimas when I came to drive a used car?" You know what I mean? There is something there, you know what I mean? It's something that is hard. And this is the flip side of everything we talked about. And this is my, I guess, exposure of myself, is that if things were in a situation where I couldn't afford things, and I've been there before, I will roll with the punches and do that. But there are certain things that I value important to me. And ironically, it's not what makes me popular or makes me trendy.
Mhm.
It's what
Yep.
I find that are at that point in my life at different times is they're non-negotiables.
Sure.
I would, to this
I
day,
respect that.
I would drive my 98 DeVille if I found one over a 2021 Honda.
Sure.
And I had at least one at one point, but it's just a weird thing that people get in those modes, and I'm one of those people that's like, there's things that make me happy.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to buy a classic. You know, my buddy Big Rob, he'll
Yeah.
send me when there's a 79 or 78 Lincoln or whatever, and I'm like, no, it'd be great, but I'm not going to buy a $40,000 car that no one can work on anymore.
The parts aren't even there anymore.
That's a second or third vehicle.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy it as a primary.
Unless Big Rob is offering to work on it.
He used to when I couldn't afford him. You know, when I couldn't afford someone to work on my cars, he would be there in a heartbeat. And to this day, if I couldn't afford it, and he's not too far from me, right?
Sure.
Probably like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? And he's like, what do you need? I'm like, I had a radiator hose blow again. He's like, God damn it. All right, I'll come over. You know what I mean? Like,
Was that the car or the motorcycle?
radiator hose with the car.
I know he used to help you out with the motorcycle too.
He sure did. He also talked me into buying that $250 motorcycle. But all things considered, I think closing remarks is that the following trends, it's fun. It is absolutely fun. I mean, if you can afford it, do it. If you enjoy it, do it. Don't do it for your identity. Don't make your personality and your end all be all be what the brand is on things that you carry.
Yep. I love it.
I mean, that's kind of how I've been most of my life, even more so as I've gotten older. Like I care, as I've gotten older, I care less about what other people think about what I have. I want to have
Makes your life easier.
it does, because I want to have the things I have because I enjoy them, or I think they're things that are going to bring me value, things that are going to last. I had that old Cobalt for so many years.
There's new at one point.
That thing had no features. The only way I could have gotten one cheaper is if it didn't have the rear spoiler. That would have saved me $300.
Did that keep the back end down?
Oh yeah,
Four
absolutely.
cylinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could knock on that 4-cylinder, but goddamn, that 2.2 liter, that thing was a hell of a motor. That first motor lasted me 250,000 miles. How many new cars out there can last that long?
Those are the features that an old man appreciates, right?
Yeah,
And I've
will sell before it gets in that close.
and I've always
Now gas is up, right? So
I've always been kind of one of those old soul kind of guys. I've never really followed into trends. I just like the things that I like for whatever reason I do.
Yeah.
And it, for me personally, like I said, I've never been one to follow trends. I just want to have something that I like and that I enjoy, not overextend myself. The reason why, myself and Jess or Steve and Kristen can do the kind of vacations that we do. Like, there's a lot of people that sit there and like, hey, how come we don't have this? I don't want it. Well, how come we don't buy this? Because I don't want it. And then I go on a really nice trip like I just did last week. Like, holy cow, like that must have been an amazing experience. Like, yeah, it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Do you know what I sacrificed and didn't do in order to be able to do that? Like,
that's the whole thing with that Lamborghini like Countach poster. Like, yeah, I worked so I could afford it. I didn't just seek it out.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've always been I want to have the things that I want because I would like them and I want them, but also I don't overextend myself. I want to be in a position where I can enjoy them.
Yeah.
You know, when I buy a car, I buy it. I'm not worried about what happens afterwards because like even when I had my Cobalt and it needed repairs, people would sit there and go, "Oh my gosh, you threw this amount of money into that repair. Like, why don't you just get another car?" And like,
You hold on to a car that cherry.
like I can throw a grenade in that car and buy it all over again. I don't give a shit.
You shouldn't do that
You shouldn't.
I like to see it, though.
But that was
kind of cool.
but that was the point
though.
I
Do a
made to
live
people.
stream.
Yeah, I don't get followers.
Patreon.com.
No, that was the point I made to people. The point I made to
Nate
people
your
was
Grenade your car.
Oh, I thought, Nate your car.
That means we're grenaded and see what happens.
no the point I made to people was
Grenade.
like,
Say hashtag
Nate
Nate
car.
Steve's car. I'm like, oh God.
It's gonna grenade it.
but no, well, even after I bought the car that I have,
Beautiful.
sitting out there in front of Steve's house,
Beautiful.
I used to make the joke like if I had to with my old car, if they still made that car,
No, different.
I still would have bought that car. If they made that exact same car nowadays for the same amount of money, I'd buy that car.
I think as you get older, though, I mean, like like your Lexus is beautiful. I mean, you bought a used Lexus, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. You can't sit. We all appreciate our first.
I
car.
love the features that car has,
We all appreciate our first vehicle.
but it doesn't.
I do too. I miss my 86 Cadillac. I miss my 75 Yamaha. But like,
But it doesn't make me too good for what I used to have.
no, it never would. But you're happy, right? You deserve that. You worked hard for that.
I did work hard.
That's my point. is that-
I worked hard for it.
Yeah,
I
it's not a
saved up to
trend.
be
You're
able to
not-
buy that car.
Exactly.
If all of a sudden if something happens and I have to downgrade, fine.
Well, that's the nice thing about it. You can sell it, right? That's the smart thing about it. My
But
point is that there's people.
I
that
don't
say,
feel that I'm too above myself.
no, but there's people that say must be nice, like you can drive your Lexus and all this stuff, and you're like, yeah, but
I love that you said must be nice.
Likes to put a cigarette
No,
in
no.
front of my face a lot.
well, you
you-
can't see it until
You
it's
can't,
fine.
exactly. You can't see it anyway.
I watch it.
No, but that's the whole
No,
thing.
I
is
remember-
said that it's the must be nice part of it is that it's like it has to be of the mindset that you've worked to the point that you can reasonably afford it. You didn't just follow a trend. You didn't buy a
No,
brand.
absolutely.
You bought a car that is super reliable on the luxury side. You didn't buy it new. You bought it used, and it's like there is a difference between. You're not trying to necessarily. You are probably, but like you're not necessarily driving that Lexus until it's like 250,000 miles, like your Cobalt was.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
If you can, you will. But if it turns into a money trap because of all the electronics in it,
Oh, absolutely.
you won't. But that's my point, is that when you worked hard and you get to that point, you're not following trends, but that's the accountability side of it, is that you are enjoying what you
Busted my ass to be able to get.
got to get to. Yeah, you got
So,
to enjoy that. So do it. Like just enjoy it. There shouldn't be any guilt in the fact that you are driving a nicer car than that Chevy Cobalt. You have power windows. Oh my God. Like that's fine.
Cruise control. Yeah.
Cruise control is great. You know what I mean? Like you have heated seats. It's great. Enjoy that. Like there's no, like, you're not a bragger. That's fine. But as long as you enjoy it, when anyone says that it must be nice to have something, you know what you put in to get to that point, because it's nothing. There is nothing wrong is in the fact that you couldn't buy that car. You couldn't have the house you have or the life you have. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into that because of the kind of person you are. That's the must be nice, is that you did all that stuff.
So when you say must be nice, the thing that always come to mind, as soon as I hear that phrase, must be nice, the immediate thing I think of was when my dad was still a package driver for UPS.
Yeah.
And my dad busted his ass. So back in the day when my dad started for UPS, you had to be a you had to load
Right. Yeah.
part-time. You had to load trucks for 6 years, and then you could be a package driver. Right nowadays, they just need package drivers. They'll hire you right from the get-go as a driver.
Sure.
But back in the day, my dad had to work part-time for 6 years as a loader before he ever became a driver. And then
But that's the thing.
decades later,
Yeah.
he would be on his route. And, he's sitting there busting his ass, making all these deliveries and pickups every single day. And he would have someone who goes, it must be nice because you get 6 weeks vacation every single year.
So
And my dad goes, I had to work 6 years part-time. Then I had to work 20 years as a driver to be able to get to this point. So if you want 6 weeks vacation because you don't get it at your desk job or your corporate job, cool. Go start working at UPS and work 20 years to be able to get to that point. And they go, well, I don't want to start all over. I don't want to have to do all the grind that you did. He's like, exactly.
No,
I
but-
busted my ass
so-
to get to this point.
But you got to take it off your shoulders on that point, and you got to take it as a thank you. Must be nice, absolutely. It's tough to do that, but there's always something that earned that, right? So that's the whole thing. That's my point. And Sean, I'll go to you on that. Is that it is a must be nice thing? Is that it's you followed your own path and you earn the life you have, for better or worse. And there's times where, I know that, what you're saying, Nate, and I've heard it, and I know that, my wife's heard it, but you don't know, it is nice. Must be nice. Absolutely. But the must be nice comment is a lot of times it's taken as like you've been given something. And I think the mindset is that it, you know what, it is nice. And I've busted my ass for it. And in a simple, like, you know what, it is nice. But the not nice part is the other things you don't see.
I've never looked at any of my friends and seen what they have, whether, you, Steve, and Kristen, the house you have and the lifestyle you have. I've never looked at any of my friends and being like, gosh, I would trade what I have to have what you have.
Sure.
Never in my life have I ever thought that. I've always looked at it as like, these people, they have this, they have X, Y, Z.
Well, you got a great life. Sean, you got a great life.
What do I have to do to get there? That's my mindset. I'm not jealous of what you have. I sit there and look at it and go, what do I have to do to get there?
Or just be happy with what you have.
I had someone that said something about your neighborhood you live in, and in my old neighborhood, someone commented on something recently, and they commented on it. And I was so proud of that neighborhood that I lived in for shit, man. That was like 15 years.
Sure. Never for a minute.
And it was after my divorce, and a lot of things happened between then and now. And I love that neighborhood. And someone commented on it, and they were not negative, but they came across indirectly negative. And they're like, even in the past, that last house you lived in was a nice blue collar neighborhood. And I was like, so I sold that house for more than you paid for your house now. You know what I mean? It was like one of those things. I'm like, so you say blue collar, but I know plenty of people in that neighborhood that are not, like, it's not a negative, right? But it's like the reality of the situation now is that there are a lot of white collar people that live in that neighborhood. This is the reality of the world we're living in right now.
Sure.
And it was like, it struck me wrong because I'm like, yes, I do live in a quote nicer neighborhood now, if you want to call it that. It's just a more expensive neighborhood. But that was one of the things, is that I know more people in that neighborhood. We've been here over a year, and I have good neighbors, and they're great, and that's fine. But I don't hang out with them. You know what I mean? There's nothing there. It's like there is an identity there that when you say those things, like that you lived in a nice blue collar neighborhood, it's like you just expose yourself, that you look down on that, in my opinion.
I agree.
You know what I mean? It's like I know enough people in that neighborhood that I don't know what you consider blue collar, if you think it's factory or whatever, but I know like professionals, I know nurses, I know people that are teachers, I know that are people that are doing things that are making 6 figures living in the neighborhood.
Yep.
And I tell you what, I couldn't afford that on my own, the house that I lived in, and right now what I sold it for. So it's like it's just this mindset of those people that just look down on these types of neighborhoods or these houses, and it's like, you have lived in your house for 20 years. You don't have a reality check on what the reality is right now. Sean, close us out, please.
Sure. Yeah, so there's a couple things I wanted to bring up. I was taking notes earlier, so I want to make sure I didn't forget anything. First of all,
I used to do that too. I used to write them down on hand.
Nate, one thing I think I love about you the most is you appreciate the simple things, and whether it's a Cobalt or whatever, you appreciate what you have.
It's a great car
in front of you. You appreciate it's at the highest, coolest, trendiest trend. See that thing, but you took what was given to you and appreciated what you have. That there is the best trend that we could try to follow in this world today, is what you can afford, what you can appreciate. It may not be the highest, coolest shit, but man, the passion you have just talking about that Cobalt makes me want to go buy a fucking Cobalt if they have it, because
silver. Great.
But it's that the passion you speak goes to show who you are as a person, that what you have what you have currently and what you can afford and what you have in this life, your life currently, is you're happy. And I think that's what I wish more people in this world would be with, not following trends, not trying to live in this like fucking fake world where you've got to be, have the coolest shit and all that stuff. I think, and it goes for you too, in the Cadillac, Steve.
That's great.
You have a
great brand.
You have a file, you have a connection in your heart, maybe even your soul, because it's something your dad brought you up with, and the Lincoln and all that other stuff. It's not because look at cool I am because I drive a Cadillac. It's because you expect certain things and you learn from it through your father and just growing up or living where you're at now.
Sure. Yeah.
And and that's, I think I love you both for that, is you don't live outside your means. And I think you can have more of a connection with people that do that than the people that are trying to go with the highest end of getting the most coolest shit and all that stuff. Now, if you can afford that and that's what makes you happy, more power to you. But I live to be with people that whatever's given to them, they appreciate, and they stay within that bubble of making themselves happy.
Love that.
Just a quick thing about high end and stuff like that, and what people have. When I went to St. Charles, there were a lot of rich kids that went to that school. They fucking
private school nearby us.
Yeah,
right?
it's a private Catholic school.
No, it's a lot of listeners don't know.
No, yeah. So it's a preparatory school. You have to go through many hoops to get in. I don't know how the fuck I even got in, but I did.
You're a great kid.
But I remember I drove my parents' 78 Impala. It's a V8 engine, badass. You could lay in the back seat and your head and toes wouldn't touch the doors. But I would roll in that parking lot and park it right next to the Porsches and shit. But everybody knew who I was because I didn't stand out with a Porsche. I stood out with a common car.
That was me with the 79 Lincoln when I drove it.
Right. And then the days like the muff would fall off and I wouldn't replace it for a few
My
months.
bumper fell off.
It was like, brrr, come in. Like, oh, here comes Wilkie. Eric.
Wilkie.
And that's the
Is that what we should call you?
That's what they called me back in the day, Wilkie or Wilkes. Yeah. But they knew who I was. And a lot of times we go out and I would drive them in that car and they loved it. So
a little high off the fumes.
Yeah. And I got a lot of speeding tickets because you can go faster than you think you do. And so with that fucking V8. But again, it was one of those things where I wasn't driving the high-end car. I was driving that, but I also didn't give a shit. I didn't worry. I was who I was. I didn't change. I stuck to who I am as a person, and I was respected more than the people that drove the higher end cars. So in a way, I guess I would say that a lot of times, and even today, I go against trends. I do what I want and how I want to do it, and whatever I purchase, I'm letting people see me for who I am, not what I have. And I think that's where I've developed so many more good friendships, because what you see is what you get with me. And the people that can accept that are my true friends. You two guys are obviously high on that list. I think by standing out and doing your own thing brings more respect from people, from the people that are like solid friends, again, like yourselves, for people in the shop, people that I am drawn to or are drawn to me respect me because of, again, what you see is what you get. And I think that there is the trend you want to follow. That's what should be out there every day, is be your fucking self. Be who you are. Don't go above and beyond your means to try to impress people for materialistic things. That shit comes and goes. But what now that I'm 55 and I'm a lot more wiser in my age, I see that that's what I respect from people that I'm with and who I surround myself with. I think that's more powerful than any fucking trend out there. And yeah, I'm a sucker to some of it. I, maybe want more earbuds than the most people, because
No, you're an earbud guy.
yeah. So it's one of those, I don't share bottles of bourbon on Facebook. I may share it with you guys because I'm excited to be able to share it with you. That's something that I want to be able to include you in, not to say, look what I got. It sucks to be you. I think the one thing and the final thing I have is having the health issues that I've had over the years in my life, whether it's a brain tumor, the heart thing, or whatever, allowed me to look inward and have a different perspective on life, which again caused me to, or kind of helped me to become who I am today.
Pushed you.
Yeah, pushed me to be who I am, and appreciate the small things, appreciate the simple things. Yeah, I get caught up in other shit like any other human can, but when it goes back to the foundation and the base of who I am, that overpowers anything else that I see on a TikTok or a Facebook or whatever. I think that allowing me to be who I am it's also taking a lot of pressure off myself to not be caught up in all these trends. And I think that that's kind of where, if people were to be that, I'm not saying I'm the end all be all of who you should be, but I think that following the simple rules of just being who you are, appreciate who you are, and live within your means, and maybe stand out to be something that's like not high-end trendy thing. I think that's where I end up excelling at. And I think that over the years, I've met a lot of people, whether in the shop, in the passenger jet charter industry, even people that fly them, they respect me because of who I am. There's a guy named Marty Savko. He owns one of the biggest construction companies in Columbus, and he used to fly private. And because of the relationship I built with him, I remember like he wouldn't talk to anyone else but me, because he trusted me because of who I was and because where I've come from, and I went above and beyond. And that's another thing. If you're a friend of mine and you need something, I will go above and beyond to try to help you if you're in trouble.
Be real.
I try to be that 3:00 in the morning friend if I can. I've never had anybody call me at 3:00 in the morning for help.
Call you at 3 in the morning.
But if you do,
I'll set my alarm.
You're gonna pick up my.
fuckers.
What do you need? I'm like, hi, Sean.
Just want to hear your voice.
Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping well? I was sleeping well.
But I think that's kind of
Sweet dreams, Sean.
What are you wearing?
No, I don't.
No.
Hopefully nothing.
Yeah. Some great briefs. But I don't know. I think that I'll kind of stop there because I'm going to keep repeating myself. But
it's super like impactful what you said.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is. I think that you really summarize everything that normally is around this table, and I think that I appreciate that, and I'll let you finish what you want to say.
No, I think I'm done.
I just want to frame it as that, like, it is tougher than people think to live the life that they're living without the outside influences.
Yeah.
because as soon as you feel like you have everything in check, and when things might go slightly awry, now all of a sudden you question yourself and the people that are in your life. But now all of a sudden you have these outside influences that are feeding all your insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what I've heard from you tonight, is that you found your place.
Mm-hmm.
And what's important to you and important to your family and important to your job and all that stuff. It's like, this is an ongoing thing that everyone has, but I do think that I've known you for years, and it is great seeing you in this place that, man, it is, I said impactful, but it really is. It's so nice to hear you say those things to other people that may be dealing with similar things, or they might in the future, they have in the past. It's just, there's a big trust that you put on yourself that a lot of people don't do well. The trust on yourself, the trust to yourself is, I think, we talk about trends, taking accountability, and talking about all the things you're talking about. If you're in a good place, the trust that you put upon yourself is a huge burden that can be transitioned to a strength.
Yeah.
I feel like you've gone to the strength side.
But it's going through a lot of struggles to get there. And I still have my moments of weakness, and we're all human and we do that. And, there's things that I need to do better on within my family and with my wife, and communications, and things I haven't really stepped up and have done lately that I need to do. But it's now that it was discussed and it was brought forward to me. So now it's something I'm going to work hard to fix that and make it back on track. And I think that the one thing I've noticed as I've gotten older too is when you're in those happy moments and you're in a good place, cherish that, because you don't always have that. Life will throw you curveballs every fucking time it can. And there's times where I could get down on it and I beat myself up over it, but I try to learn from each mistake that I make. I think we all do. I think it's human nature to learn from that. And I will constantly be learning until the day I die.
We all will.
Yeah. So don't give up on just things are good now. And then 2 days later, it could go to shit. Remember that foundation of who you are and where you come from and what you've done to get to where you are, and know that you can get out of it.
Thank you guys for being here tonight.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Yep.
Yeah.